time has come to unite the world under one nation, an 8-bit nation, a neon green nation, the CoCo Nation. The CoCo Nation Show, coming soon.
The CoCo Nation Show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCo Nation Show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCo Nation.
Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCo Nation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
My turn. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CoCo Nation Show, episode 337. How's everybody doing?
Awesome. How you doing?
Great.
All right, we made it. I'm still on the right side of the daisies.
Heck yeah.
That's
CoCo
right.
Day.
Made it through another week. Let's see here. Let's see what we got on the panel today. Oh, I need to flip a button over here. There we go, that one. Let's see. We have Mark Overhoser.
Hey, glad to be here today.
And next over, yours truly. Then we got Bob Emery.
Howdy, folks. Welcome.
And Rick Euland.
Look it up, folks. It's 169 hours until the next one.
Okay. And next over, we got Terry Stiggy.
Hello, everybody.
And Ken Waters.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Ron Delvo.
Hello, and Mark Overholzer. Thanks for not banning me from the show because I made your face.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay.
It's there.
Okay, Jason, CoCoMan.biz.
I've got my Diet Dr. Pepper and my water, and I'm ready.
Okay, and L Curtis Boyle.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
And Kevin Holloway.
Hello, everybody.
And Brian Wiesler.
Hello, all. Welcome to the show.
Okay, and then Alan.
Howdy, howdy.
And last but not least, Nick Marentes.
Yep, on the butt end of the list. Good day, everyone.
Hey,
Somehow we always end up down there, don't you?
I know.
I was in the underside of the world, so.
The upside down top.
Speaking of underside of the world there, Nick, you're one of those smart people that doesn't change times for daylight savings, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So the switchover,
looking
I
for-
believe, is tonight, 2 a.m. or something?
Yes,
Is
tomorrow
it?
morning.
Oh, good. That means I can sleep in an extra hour.
Same with me
Was it-
and Ron.
Is it 5:04 a.m. there?
4:04.
Okay.
Where
so
are you?
For us, we're dropping off 1 hour. So instead of being 1 o'clock here, it'd be noon.
all right, so we got to wait an extra hour for next week's show.
And you say that like it's a bad thing.
Well, just saying.
So it looks like Facebook didn't get on the stream from what we're seeing from Mark Siegel and Mark Overholzer.
I don't know.
It looks
Are
like
they?
nope.
We have to bump start again to make them work. Something.
Someone to get out the jumper cables.
Right?
Well, let me check my buttons here. Well, they're turned on.
We got marked as Canadian news, and now it's blocked.
Interesting. Okay, because that show we are connected. I think. Yeah, there's Facebook, Twitch, and 3 channels there. I got 4 channels over here. So, yeah, I don't know. They're turned on.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it didn't start.
Weird.
Is that an issue?
Well, Mark Siegel said he had to switch to YouTube because he couldn't get on Facebook, which is where he normally watches us.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't think it's an issue. I think it's a feature.
Okay, well,
you're going to lose some people, I guess. I guess it don't matter, huh?
I'm posting a thing with links to the Twitch and YouTube. So
Thanks.
Yeah.
There's a solution, and that's it for now.
I mean, it does show the zero viewers on Facebook.
Well, if it's not on Facebook, that would make it real easy to get 0. We also have 0 viewers on cable TV right now too.
Yep.
0 on Apple TV too, unless you're watching it through the YouTube app.
Okay.
Yeah. Mark's post is out there on Facebook, but
I hope
that's it.
so.
So the question is should we do anything about it?
I don't think we can at this point unless we start everything.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Yeah,
what
if you
to
posted the
do.
links already, it would just say that for some reason the Facebook crossover didn't work. And please watch us on YouTube or Twitch.
That's what I did. And posted links.
It's 2023.
Real
Everything
player.
works.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, real quick time. There we go. The original postage size stamp, quick time.
Listen to us on internet phone.
Okay.
Will be an animated GIF. That's what will be. Won't be any sound. You have to read
We're not
or something.
We're currently not on a dial-up modem either.
No, that we're not. All right. Do we
But
have
we
any
could be.
project? Do we have any project updates today?
I have a
I have
pretty
a-
good project.
Who said yes? Oh, Bob?
Uh,
Is that you?
I have one. I think somebody else did too.
Yeah, I'm secondary.
Okay.
Hey, Bob and Rick.
Yep.
All right, go ahead, Bob.
All right, I will go. First, I'm going to switch to my overhead here. So basically, I got a new CoCo. I'm going to get this one out of the way.
Is that the 2 meg upgraded one you did, or give me
Nope,
X one?
Yeah, this is my regular, all USB powered, and
That's your workhorse.
but basically, this is going to be my next CoCo 3.
You broke it. Where will you put the monitor?
Got a bill of materials there. Well, it'll
Is
plug
that a
in.
Pedro board, perchance?
So what I got here is one of Pedro Pena's Athena boards.
That's Pedro's, right?
Yep.
CoCo 3 kit.
Very nice.
Look at the box of parts, man.
I think I have 99% of the things in here. There's basically like a couple of transistors or something that I just probably need to dig out of my parts bin.
So what do you do for the gimme in this particular case?
So first I'm going to just take one out of an existing CoCo to make sure that it works. And then with Gimme X, I'm going to put that in there and see that work. And as long as that works, this will basically be the first fully functional 100% modern component CoCo 3 made.
Cool.
Now we just need to get the Gimme X back into production and build that into the board.
Make lone CoCo 3s.
I haven't got one of these for it that I took out of my
Weed.
The big question is if we do ever get to the point where the Gimme X can be either built into Pedro's board completely, or if we just get it manufactured, plug it into the board, do we call it a CoCo 3B or a CoCo 4?
or a CoCo 3 Plus.
Yeah,
Or that too.
A plus.
How about a CoCo 3.5?
Yeah.
Like even NASA's making something new called NASA Plus.
I've even prototyped one of these up a little better than my first shoddily cut out attempts, but this kind of, I can put the first I'll put the original modulator in there, but this will also fit just nicely.
Which is what?
HDMI.
Oh, this is HDMI.
Yeah, that's
port.
sweet.
Can you say that though, legally?
Oh, right. It's HDMI like somehow, right?
Right.
Some legal.
DVI.
It's DVI.
Yeah, there you are.
Well, what would you-
HIDM.
What would you call that
Yeah,
connector
backwards.
generically then?
Well, it's HDMI over, or it's DVI over an HDMI connector, but it's not actually HDMI. There's some weird legal wrinkle.
Yeah, there's a legal
you-
distinction.
Well, as long as there's
Coming
no
out of
audio
this
mixed
box,
in
you
with
can
it, it's
call it
fine.
that.
But it'll work with that.
By the way, there's much disagreement in the chat about what to call a next gen CoCo, because Mikey Furman says CoCo 4 forever. 60 says, no, I like 3B. After all, Tandy themselves seem to add those letter suffixes at random.
There was a CoCo 4.
I'd say skip one and call it.
Actually,
a
there
5.
wasn't. There was ones hinted at being, but they were called the MM1, the TC70.
Right.
None of them were actually called a CoCo 4.
Wait, isn't there one with that 2 floppy box on top that says CoCo 4 on it above the?
There was
CoCo
no
3
computer though. That
keyboard?
was just a case mock-up, and it never got past that. So there's no computer there. It was just a case.
It was like that case design they then later used in the 1000 line.
Yeah.
What about a CoCo 3 and 5/16?
We're metric here. We'd have to call it something CoCo in 6 millimeter or something.
Don't go there. The government here in Wisconsin, they wanted to use numbers for all the avenues, and then they had winding rural avenues, so they ended up with 1 7/16 by 2 3/8 avenue because the two ends ended up in different places on the grid. So yeah.
Bob, were you able to locate a proper socket for the gimme?
I think so, or put it this way, I got the proper socket that fits this board.
Okay.
So whether it would fit a factory board or not, I don't know if that's the same, but yeah, I have the PLCC socket.
Yeah, they still make those bad sockets. Apparently, they're so poor quality that they'll be made forever. Because
David Craker is suggesting the CoCo 3 Deluxe to kind of go with the CoCo Deluxe never came out but was manufactured.
Because people are always willing to pay for that level of quality.
CoCo 3E.
And that's why this show is free.
So with Pedro's board, I'm trying to remember, did he go component by component, or did he actually simplify some of the CoCo 3 a little bit?
I believe this is pretty much component for component match. I've got the full bill of materials, and all the component numbers are the same.
Yeah, I think the goal was to make a reproduction that would fit in the case exactly like the original one, and then basically if you had a cracked one or something like that, you could just swap.
And he'd already made the pepper, so there was no reason to recreate that here. Just put a pepper board in it.
Yeah, so I've actually got a working salt chip from a pepperboard converted CoCo, so I'm going to do that first, and then I have a pepperboard and a daiquiri board for the DAC.
Now, quick question for you, Bob. How long do you think it'll take you to put everything on there once you have everything you need?
That's a good question. Probably, I mean, that's a solid weekend of soldering if I were.
Right.
Well, there is. I was wondering because since we've got the CoCo Tech channel starting up, and I mean, a lot of these hardware channels, it's all live soldering, even if it takes like 3 weeks to make it fix to a board or something like that. Would you consider maybe doing a live stream of that with maybe some commentary as you're going?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm definitely gonna be making a video of it. So probably what we'll do is I can roll some of that video and we can just do some Q&A while we talk about it,
Okay.
But yeah, definitely.
That seems to be popular with the hardware guys of watching somebody solder for hours and then I get bored after 5 minutes because I haven't seen any hair on fire yet. So
yeah, that's kind of the reason I want to make it a video so that I don't have to sit there and solder every individual thing. I'll do like a little montage of all the resistors going in and capacitors and diodes and stuff.
Yeah, no, for a standard video, I think that's exactly what most people do. But I've noticed from Sloopy introducing me some of these live streamers that do hardware, and they go for like 4 to 6 hours a shot, and they might be doing the same machine for 3 weeks in a row, and they get a lot of people in there commenting and stuff. So it's apparently popular.
It's kind of an ASMR type of thing.
But if you pre-record it, it's easier to edit out the explicitives.
Yeah.
Well, I think most of those other ones have, they're not for kids ratings on their channels.
Yeah.
I know if I tried soldering, that for sure wouldn't be.
Also, when you solder the resistor in place of where the capacitor goes, that never.
No. Or you get the resistor going the wrong direction.
Well.
The resistor going the wrong direction? How does that work?
Just sloppy.
By the way, Pedro himself is saying live build would be great.
So, what will you be calling the computer when it's all assembled on the badge?
I don't know, but the project is gonna be Project Athena.
Yeah.
That's already on the board here.
So would that be an Athena CoCo 3?
So maybe.
So you're going to have to get your video can re-chromed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use
Pretty
that.
rough.
They have that spray that looks like chrome. You ever see that?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's so small. You could do it with a battery and some.
Actually played it.
Yeah, just played it in your bedroom. You know?
Played it gold.
I've done some copper plating before.
Oh, and Bob, Pedro is saying in the chat here, he says, I can't wait. I think he's talking about watching the live build of it.
Yeah, he's anxious to see this thing run too.
It's either instructional or self-affirming. You know, it's like, wow, that's how you do that, or wow, I'm so much better than that guy. So either way, it works out, right?
Right.
And Chad votes for watching it.
Is this the Athena blue smoke board?
Not yet.
Not yet. There will be no smoke other than
Before
the
it's time.
That thing's pretty.
Yeah, I like the white. I think his next batch, he said he's going to do purple.
Ooh, purple
So
is
I'm gonna-
royalty.
Yeah.
Is he
So, Bob,
planning
if
on
I'm
an-
going by the chat here, I would say that if you can live stream it and then also locally record it, so you can make an edited, summarized video for the people that just want the quick hit. But there's enough interest, I think, in you doing a live stream as you're going. Just if you're up to
maybe
it,
Sure.
it'd be an
So
interesting
with
experiment to see how many viewers you'd get for that if we advertise it.
Yeah,
Would this
right.
board be a better board than the actual one that came from, Radio Shack Tandy? Is
Yeah.
it thicker? Is it, better built or,
It feels
It's whiter.
about the
Substantial.
same.
Well, there.
I would say the solder mask is definitely tougher than that green.
This is a fiberglass board where back in the days it was basically paper. So
What,
just the quality of boards in general has gotten better. Yeah, well, it was resin and paper, and now it's resin and fiberglass, and the FR4 or whatever is really good stuff. I mean, it's structurally sound and things like that, where resin and paperboard phenolic boards weren't that way. So just, I don't know specifics, but in general, this is going to, a modern board is better. They've just, state of the art is grown.
So why is it we don't see the traces going across on the board? I mean, is it because it's far away or?
It's covered under the mask.
Might just be my camera exposure. I mean, I can kind of see him under the mask here, but it's so.
What do you mean mask?
Because of the white, solder mask.
Well, first you have to get past the uno and dos before you get to the trace.
Right.
You can almost kind of see.
You can almost get the shadow to hit it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there. I just saw it there. Yeah.
And what's the idea of having it that way instead of like original was? I mean, what's
you can drop pennies in the slots.
Oh, and not have it short out.
It won't short out. You won't
the
get
chances are
solder to
less.
solder into another trace next door. Or yeah.
Well, I like having it a different color to differentiate it from a factory one, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But the solder mask is there for what the name is that these are usually soldered with a solder flow machine, and so the solder only sticks where it needs to stick.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a better explanation.
Well, that's how the older one was too.
Yeah.
This is the one.
Are there any plans?
Go ahead.
Are there any plans to have a new board with a few enhancements on it?
Pedro has mentioned that in the past.
Ooh.
I mean, the RF modulator, who's going to use that?
Where did you get that?
I think the first revisions was to just get a working product and then build out from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to build it with the RF modulator just to prove that it works, and then convert it to HDMI. Same with the power. I'm going to build it with all the original power components and then convert it to DC.
Yeah. Along Nick's suggestions, I mean, some things that I would like to see other than the Gimme X, obviously, would be like the DAT board built in, so you can just swap in 2 meg without having to like desolder CPUs and put in those satellite boards and all that kind of stuff. A built-in disk controller like the Deluxe was supposed to have might not be a bad idea either. So you can free the cartridge slot without having a multi-pack for something else.
Yeah. And I'm sure Pedro is taking all these ideas into consideration.
I know that's what Julian's, we'll be covering that a little bit later in the news here, but Julian Brown is doing the Dragon, I keep forgetting which one is his, which one's Karen's. I think he's doing the Dragon 32, but he's already on his, upgraded one where he's added up to 256K of RAM on board, and he's added a few other things too, and he's actually just currently putting that version together. So he's adding enhancements already as well.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't you almost power the whole motherboard with a cell phone battery in place of that?
Absolutely.
Well, Bob, you already have it powered up, running like your other one's powered up just by using USB-C, isn't it?
That one's running off of PD power, 9 volts, or 12 volts, not 5 volts. But you can run a CoCo off of 5 volts. You just won't get cassette or RS-232.
There's another thing to build into your upgrade board is the buck boost converter to make 8 volts out of 5 volts. What is that, a new part for your keyboard connector, or is that a recycled salvage?
This is a brand new keyboard socket that I found on Digikey.
What's the number?
Yes, what's the number?
Yeah.
By the way, Pedro in the chat saying he included the DMA mod suggested by Jim Brain onto this board. And Mark Siegel saying the Deluxe did not have a disk controller built in. No, it did not. The CoCo 3, the original prototype that Microware has, the big honkin' board that I think Mark Marlett has now, that did have a disk controller and ROM built in.
Okay, so the Digikey number is...
Okay, we can't see it there. It is A as in Apple, 1444434-ND.
2 hours later, he's still saying the number.
Well, yeah, but you look it up once.
And now we crashed Digikey's site by everyone hitting it all at once.
Right.
Now, does any of you hardware guys remember what the DMA mod Jim Brain was? I remember I covered it, but I don't remember what exactly that was.
Yeah, well, on the CoCo 3, if you did any hardware that tried to access DMA, you couldn't do it on the CoCo 3 because it had a buffer or some chip between the bus and the CPU that prevented that from happening. It worked on a CoCo 1 and 2, but not on a 3 because of that chip it had. So the DMA mod, I assume, is just missing that chip or something to bypass it. So it was only added in for some form of protection.
Now,
Bus
could you
protection
explain
to
what
the
DMA
CPU.
is for all of us? DUMB?
Direct memory access. So that external circuits could actually access the memory of the main computer without the main CPU knowing about it.
Yeah, Amigas and stuff had that for like doing sound and other things.
Yeah.
You know, like you could have the disk controller take a sector and dump it straight into memory without having the CPU transfer it.
Essentially, that's you multitask because multiple devices
Well,
can be doing.
Yeah. Well, you could probably have an external CPU or so accessing the same RAM as the main CPU, I guess.
Looks good, Bob.
Yeah, the socket fits.
So mommy isn't going to like when her children are doing things without her knowledge.
Pedro's got a couple other comments on this board. He said the keyboard connector is better because you can use CoCo 2 and CoCo 3 keyboards with it.
Yeah. And this one
contacts on both sides.
Yeah, there's that one where the mylar was upside down.
Yeah. And he also says it was adding a trace to the CPU trace, which I'm guessing is that DMA is talking about.
Oh, yeah. This keyboard socket I have here has wipers on both sides, so even older keyboards should work.
Right, and the Tandy socket looks like it has wipers on both sides, but one side's just a spring. It isn't electrically active at all. So good luck with that one.
The other thing that I'm going to have to do, I've got a brand new ROM chip, brand new CROM chip that I'm going to have to get flashed. An EEPROM.
it probably would be good idea to put a nice bright white case, under that and around it, because if you use a yellow one, it would really show up, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's pure white.
Right.
Maybe we'll need a translucent case.
Wait a couple of years, you'll know why people don't make white circuit boards.
But Cohen's in the chat says that's a distortion of the hobby.
Just out of curiosity, were you able to go to one supplier for the parts, or did you have to shop around?
You could probably get 90% of it from Digikey, but I did a little bit more shopping around than that. I got most of it from, I would say, probably 60 to 70% from Digikey and 20% from Mauser and a few miscellaneous items from Janeco.
So this isn't going to run you about $1,800, is it, like that one online?
No. I'll have to tally up the individual prices because I ordered some things, multiple items more than just for this board. So I'll price it out and come up with an actual total based on the bill of materials here.
Yeah, because everything in there, I would guess, except the salt, which we do have a replacement for now, the pepper chip, and the gimme is the only thing that's really custom in there, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Hey, you've got that DAC chip now that he makes. I forgot the name of it.
His replacement is called the daiquiri.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
that.
Pedro's saying it's about $70 in components.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's a lot cheaper than buying them on eBay. I have CoCo 3 on eBay, I'll tell you. So once we got a replacement gimme, this actually will be a cheaper way to have a CoCo 3, even if you 3D print your own case.
Yeah, right. Or make one out of wood.
Now, there you go.
But look,
I want that wood grain finish like the VCS.
Right,
That'll look
old
awesome.
school, yeah.
But it looks good though, Bob. I'm glad to see somebody doing this. Be good to see the result when you're done.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to putting it together, and I feel like it's actually quite an honor. So shout out to
And Pedro, we're gonna have to have you on again here sometime to talk about what some of your future plans are for expanded versions of the board. Of course, we'll feature creep you like mad, but still.
Right.
You know how on a PC the board is important because of speed or so on. There's no chance that this computer would work any faster than a stock.
With a Gimme X and a static RAM upgrade and the C-rated parts, yes. Mine's running at 2.86 megahertz, not 1.78.
Right, and the parts are going to be the speed limit for some time.
Yeah, the weakest
where
link.
we're at. Yeah.
Weakest link is, whatever the slowest thing is, RAM, CPU.
Yeah, static RAM solves the RAM problem because you don't have to refresh it, so that whole part of the cycle is gone. You can put it back to the CPU.
But more importantly,
the Gimme X will handle 3 megahertz just fine, so that takes the Gimme out of the equation, and that also takes out video refresh and everything else that would get screwed up. And the 63C09 is already rated for 3 megahertz from Hitachi, so that solved that too.
Right,
and I haven't had any problems with PIAs or anything else, but I'm trying to remember, I think Hitachi, I don't know if they're still for sale or not, but they did make their low power versions of those chips as well, like the 6821s and stuff. So I think you might be able to get 3 megahertz rated parts for those.
So this DMA thing has nothing to do with the day-to-day operation of the machine, just when a program would actually use it. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Well,
you'd have to
nothing
program
uses it.
specifically for some other thing to get on the bus to read and write to the RAM.
Okay.
It'd be software and hardware.
Yeah. It just that in the existing CoCo, like the main CoCo 3 board, it was actually disabled. You couldn't do it at all. So
right, but they were already kind of pulling that trick to do the video, weren't they?
Hard to see it there, but I've got an actual yellow video connector for this one.
Is that to match a yellowed case?
Well, because the yellow cable is the video connector. It's supposed to be yellow. It's always supposed to have been yellow.
It's
It was
pre-yellowed
never
in the sun.
supposed to be any other color but yellow for video.
Yeah, but they're red and white, and they're not even consistent between different CoCo 3s I have here.
Well,
So
that's because they had red audio connectors and white audio connectors, and just, you had to use up all the lefts and all the rights together.
why did Tandy do that?
It was cheap.
Pedro's saying the new PIAs can actually go up to 15 megahertz, so that won't be a problem for speaking up either.
Right, and board speed won't be a problem for some time to come. So it's more faster silicon's all we need to make faster CoCos.
Yeah, and that the Gimme X is already running at that, over a megahertz faster than a CoCo 3 can do normally. So it's that for sure is there. Maybe further, who knows?
But if you're a purist, it doesn't matter, does it?
Well, then you're an idiot.
Well, that's the question. If you made a stock spec Gimme that happened to run at 32 megahertz, and a stock spec 6809 clone that ran at 32 megahertz, is that really not the same thing? Or
we've talked about this many times on the show, but my feeling is the CoCo community right from day one was a hacker community. We had all kinds of weird hardware mods, and a lot of the other machines didn't. So we're used to this. To me, I do whatever the heck you want, and if it runs faster, I'll definitely take
it. Exile in Paradise is afraid for all of us.
All right, Rick, what you got?
Yeah. Oh, so my acquisition is kind of sad in a way. I had
Break out the Kleenex.
I had a little kit work I needed to do, and so from Heathkit Zenith, we came up with this wonderful. Now, keep in mind this is Heathkit Zenith Data Systems, so this is technically a kit, and it is a data system because it's a doorbell. But yeah, they still have their manual though. I guess if you've never built a Heathkit, you wouldn't feel my disappointment in the fact that Heathkit is now a source of doorbell transformers and not.
Oh, this is current, modern.
Yeah, this is what.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering what's the sad part here. I don't understand.
Oh yeah, this is what Heathkit and Zenith Data Systems does now. They sell doorbell transformers.
But they don't. Damn. I mean, they used to do everything. TVs. I mean, you get whole console TVs.
And ZDS did Heath did whole computers, and then they spun that off into ZDS, which was the Zenith computer. And now, but they still got manuals.
Yeah, in the 80s, my dad built a Zenith or a Heathkit console wood grain cabinet TV in the 80s. It was something else.
Anything. You could buy stuff from Heathkit that you couldn't buy, just and build it.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of ham transceivers, shortwave receivers, all kinds of stuff.
Is that what Bob's using?
Question for you, Rick, from Mikey in the chat. What about the new Heathkit company that sells electronic kits?
I haven't seen them yet. I assume they are now separate from Heath Zenith, and the names have just gone in all directions. This is just something I stumbled over last week. I had to fix my doorbell.
Well, here's a website of Heathkit, and yeah, it looks like they're still selling.
Not seeing it there, Mark.
It didn't get highlighted. Make me go. Oh, can I remove me there?
Oh, okay, I know what I need to do. Hang on.
That's interesting.
Because I would like to build some old Heathkit stuff. It's relaxing to build something is going to work when you're done, instead of is going to need 17 updates in another.
Not sure how well this works, but here you go.
Oh, there it is. Interesting.
Oh, they're definitely built on the old company. They said we invented do it yourself. So
yeah, and that's the right logo and everything. Cool.
Somebody got the IP and is using it.
Then you get
the
manuals.
Oh, but now they're Heathkit specifically, which is fair. I'll chase them. Oh, transceivers, these things. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
soldering
something
kit.
familiar.
Check out the shirt. Scroll back up. It says, look at the back of the shirt. Heathkit's back. It's about time. They got the clock blown out there. Nice.
Yeah, and I think that's the clock, isn't it?
And there's the clock.
Maybe that means I can actually get a Heathkit now and build one like I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
it looks like they're back, at least to this part of the business anyway.
Where's the big TV?
They probably don't sell those anymore.
We're still
Yeah.
waiting on, yeah.
I'm looking for the Heath bar.
Is that
Those
an
are
anemometer?
Those are tasty.
That's just the cups.
C cups.
Apparently, it's an upgrade in an older one.
That would fit in Heathkit as well.
Oh, by the way, on the stream here, they're saying they're just seeing your space shuttle launch background picture.
I was
Oh.
wondering. I was wondering if that was going to work or not.
There it is.
So I got to do it this way so that everybody can see it. Let's go back to the first page.
There's that clock again.
Yep, there's the clock, and here's that T-shirt we were just talking about.
There's an experimenter computer kit right there.
Yep.
Dixie tubes. Oh no, there's an actual stereo. Nice.
Oh, that's the display for the stereo kit. Apparently upgrade to an old kit or something.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's a
Heathkit
whole-
now, Heathkit now has a soldering kit that adds hair.
I wonder who you're thinking about when you said that.
I wonder.
Cool. I mean, that was an accidental sideshow there on Heathkit, but I'm glad to see that they're back because I remember hearing about them back in the 70s and 80s too.
Well, and the thing was, they didn't just show you how to put it together. They showed you, okay, this is a voltage divider, and we're doing it because it does this. And so
Yeah, they were educational kits. They weren't just like, here's a bunch of parts, have fun. It was, we're going to explain how everything works so you learn principles of electronics.
In high school, we built a heterodyne, whatever they called it, radio, super heterodyne, what do they call it?
Yep.
And it was like 3 tubes or something in a white case, and the had a chassis and everything, the grade was given if it worked at the end. I built it, and supposedly at the time I knew what the parts were and why they worked. And mine worked, and I got the good grade now. But after it was all done, it was like a miracle. It worked.
Yeah, I think Wayne's around your age, if not even a bit older, and he says an FM tuner that uses 4 tubes.
4? Oh, well, this is AM, so I don't know.
4 tubes.
I have a guitar amp that uses 4 tubes.
Those spring connectors, yeah.
They get hot.
Yeah.
I remember towards the end of Heathkit when I was into amateur radio and I saw some of their ads, and like the TVs they were selling were RCA TVs that were a kit, and it actually cost more than buying the TV at the store. So that was kind of the downfall. But originally you could save money by building it yourself and learn something.
Yeah. I think the learning thing was the big thing, because I remember electronic classes here in high school had Heathkits they'd bring in for the students to work on. There
was 2 people standing in front of the trick or treat thing, and they were dressed as resistors. They had stripes. Stripes on it. At first, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking it's familiar to me, but I couldn't tell you the value of them. But there they were.
Oh no, the joke's on you. They were really dressed as inductors.
Oh.
Bit of electronics humor for you folks there.
Yeah, really.
Bunch of old guys reminiscing.
You could show up in a white
That's
box
pretty
or
horrible.
something, and have smoke come out and say, "I'm a reefer."
Oh, and they're in Pennsylvania. Aren't they originally in Michigan?
I don't remember.
Yes, Benton Harbor.
Yeah, now it's Ottsville, Pennsylvania.
Actually, it says their main development is in Santa Cruz, California.
Micro Hobbyist in the
Contact
chat
address,
here
yeah.
says, here's a scary thought. I talked to a vintage collector yesterday. When we die, what will happen to our computer collections? All that history go in the trash. We've discussed this on the show a few times. In fact, we're supposed to have a special that Mark's going to Mark Overholzer is going to organize about that. We were originally supposed to have a CoCoFEST talk about it last year, but he didn't have time to get it ready. So keep your ears peeled. We'll be discussing that in some more detail.
Yeah, it's a very important topic because you want to make sure that stuff gets recycled properly at the very least.
Yeah.
And hope it'll pass it on to somebody who would appreciate it.
All right. Well, next up, we have another installation of Wiesler's Warehouse. And as yet, we don't have an intro, but we do have a title.
We should have the sound of a truck backing up.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Because during our commercial, one of our commercials, we have the Radio Shack semi.
Yeah, we do.
That pulls up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's the button I need. There was spotlight for everyone. There you go, Brian. I finally got you blown up.
Brian, do you know what your last name means? Does it mean like warehouse or something? In
German
Sure.
or something?
No.
Yeah.
Well, today's show is going to be a little bit of something new, something old, something blue. First, we'll do some new here that I recently got, and let me switch cameras here. And focus. Come on, there we are. Not going to focus, is it?
Is it a Pez?
There we go. Okay, you can kind of maybe see the name there a little bit. Anybody recognize what this might be? Unassembled. I got some projects that are new stuff that I recently bought that needs to be assembled.
Kind of shaking, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, trying to keep my hands off the desk there. So let me go ahead and take the stuff out of here.
I think I saw the word Oojamaflip though. Is that right?
Yep, that is right. Yep, this is from DragonPlus, John Whitworth. This is one of his projects there, and there's a couple edge connectors and this little edge board and a resistor and a couple jumpers. And once you assemble the board here, one edge card connector goes on this side and the other one goes up here.
Oh, I know what
And
that's
then-
for.
And then this would fit into that edge card. And the idea behind this, and it works, I think it really is only designed to work with the Dragon, is that you would plug this into the ROM socket and it inverts the cartridge to above, and then you could like put your CoCo SDC above, or you could put the sprite board, as long as there's enough clearance. And the case of a Dragon is rather high,
Expansive.
right? So the idea behind this is that it inverts it. So with these two connectors here.
Does it
So
still
then
let you plug another item into the card slot?
Correct.
externally?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So there's it extends it on this side here, and then you could have like you could have the sprite board on top, and then you can still plug your CoCo SDC through the ROM slot on the side. So yeah, it still allows the use of it. But I mean, this way here, if you had a CoCo SDC set up to work with the Dragon, you could keep it plugged in and use it all the time. I mean, the only time you'd have to take the cover off would be if you wanted to get access to the SD card. But if you're just using it, then you can still plug in.
So it's like an
boards on this side.
internal mini MPI, basically, because you end up getting two slots.
Right, or like there was the Y adapters that were popular back in the day, where you had the ribbon cable and it gave you two connectors.
Yeah.
In a sense like that. So
As long as they were fully address decoded.
correct. Yeah. So once you put this connector on this side here, the pins stick through on this side, and this gets to be a little tricky though. But this gets soldered like this right between those pins, so you have to line it up just perfect, and then solder along this side, and then solder along this side onto the pins from the edge card connector as it comes through. So the pins are going to protrude on this side, and then you solder this on right to the pins. So you have to flow some solder between those between the pads on here and the pads on here. So it's a little tricky, but I think once you get a few sets, so this would stand upright by itself, then you can go ahead and solder the rest of them in place. So it's going to take quite a bit of solder to get this set.
Why wouldn't they just put a socket on there and then have that stick into it and stick out far enough to, you know what I mean?
Because can I throw this out real quick?
Yeah.
Oh,
So here's a product I made back in the day called the Expander, which is kind of the same idea.
oh, hang on. I gotta get you visible here.
It
Holy smokes,
folds
look at
things
that.
back over the CoCo motherboard.
Yes.
The problem with all that, if you don't do what John did, is you've got to make this thing. If I could get this in my camera. See this handmade fingerboard here that's very rough and hard to do?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he used just 2 connectors, and they just have a fingerboard and you slap it into the connector, and you don't have to hand solder all these teeny tiny little
Pins, stand-up pins, yeah.
PS things together, right? So yeah, that's the idea, and it worked. Even in a CoCo, you had to change things around, but even in a CoCo case, you could sneak stuff back over the top of the motherboard. So there's your floppy controller.
You used that for your repack solution, didn't you?
Yeah, that was my repack. It didn't quite fit in a CoCo case, but it pretty close did. John's fits in the Dragon case as it is, so that's really cool.
I have a computized Y cable that I use in the repack that I have.
Yeah, TC9, I have a Y cable in there as well. Came from Frank Hogg.
Yeah, they work. Talk about things you can do at 2 megahertz that you could never do on a modern computer. Y cables, right? Cool.
Yeah,
though.
because of noise or what?
Yeah, just noise and speed and timing. But look at that.
So the next thing that I got another item from John as well.
I do have a question about the Y cable. Can you, I plugged the disk controller or an SDC in the end. Could I actually use one of the other, like have the disk controller as the second or the first one, and then the SDC as the second one? And is it automatically selectable with that Y cable?
No.
No, you have to have software to change it.
No, you have to have hardware that'll let you actually do
That's
both
what
at the same time.
hardware.
So yeah, Y cable is good for like you've got a disk controller and a serial port.
Okay.
Because they have their own unique address I/O space. They don't conflict with each other.
They're not
But
slot
2 disk
dependent.
controllers will argue at the same time on the same cable as to who's doing what. I'm going to tell you to go format a disk. Which one gets it? Both? One?
Neither.
Neither.
All of them?
I haven't plugged it in yet, but I figured I would ask sometime, and this seemed to be the right time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's basically cartridges that are not slot specific.
Okay.
They don't care. So usually like your sound card or serial part or something like that.
So I could plug in the sound and speech pack alongside the SD card, or SD.
That should fly.
Those both have ROMs. Would that work?
Shouldn't it?
Yes, it works.
Works.
Speech sound in the CoCo SDC on a Y cable works for me.
Okay. Which ROM takes precedence then?
The SDC. I don't think does the speech sound have a ROM in it that it boots?
Oh no,
up?
maybe I'm thinking the York 90.
Well, maybe I'll try it then and see if there's any blue smoke.
All right, it won't hurt. It just might not work.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
it just might. Yeah, it shouldn't blow anything up. It'll just
The speech,
it'll
the speech sound and the CoCo SDC work fine on a Y cable.
And the orchestra. would work
Orchestra
too?
90, I don't know about. I haven't tried that one.
Yeah, it's got its own separate ROM for that whole music language thing compiler
But
they got on there. So,
But doesn't an RS-232 also pack?
Neither
That
of
has-
mine have ROMs in them.
Some do.
yeah, most
some
people I
don't.
know that have RC30s rip the ROM out because that terminal program sucked.
Anyway, Brian, continue on.
Yeah. Sorry,
so the other,
derailed you.
the other thing that I got from Ron was this here. Do you guys recognize this? You probably can see it on there.
DragonPlus.
Yep, this is the DragonPlus board there that he when we were doing the review of the pictures from the Dragon get up there. Was it Kieran that was with us talking about some of the different boards and stuff? This is one that he kind of talked a little bit about. When you order the kit from John, he sends you a whole bag of stuff. About as much soldering as Bob might have to do there, but anyway.
Right.
So you got a whole slug of sockets.
Mhm.
that you
This
have
is
to
why I
hook
will
up.
never order one of these.
And then all the chips come with it as well. So I don't know if it can focus in or not. Let's see here if it will. Oh, it's not focusing very well.
Is that a
Shine for the-
Hitachi chip?
Well, the ROM chip, yeah, it has a smiley face sticker on it. I thought that was kind of cute. But anyway, so
No, I mean, is the processor a 6309?
no,
Or,
this isn't a processor chip. I'm not sure what the chip
But
is.
it's a
here.
Probably gonna
Hitachi
be
chip,
the,
isn't
the
it?
display.
It's the 6845. So
Yeah, that's the video chip, isn't it?
Yeah, because the
This is the-
DragonPlus board gives you a second video output.
This is an add-on board, not a Dragon replacement.
Correct. Yep.
Well,
Yep. So this gets added in, and it gives you an 80 column output, so you can have two monitors hooked up at the same time. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Curtis, but it works within like OS 9 and stuff like that.
Yep. There's drivers you can actually drive both screens simultaneously with completely different outputs.
Yep. So, and it also gives you some, I think it does something with the memory. It frees up extra memory and also gives you a RAM disk as part of this.
Would that be like a /T3?
Well, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
On a OS 9?
No, that's a terminal port.
Oh.
Like an RC32 pack type thing.
Oh, okay.
This is an actual video chip. It's using the same. 6845 was used in quite a few machines that had 80 columns, like some of the terminals used to buy. Didn't some of the Model 380 column cards have this too? Maybe even some of the Apple ones. I can't remember anymore. Quite a few use the 6845.
But he sends it with all the instructions and everything on how to assemble it. I won't fold them out though, but he sends everything, and it's all online as well when you go out to his website. I'm not sure if he has the sale going or not. He did have advertised on the site there that he had 5% off everything, but I think that might have only
expired
been
the end of
through
Halloween, October 31st.
Yep. So
unless he extended it and I missed it.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that he's extended it though, but still, this is a pretty reasonable price project though. You get everything here for about $65. So it's not a terribly priced project for everything that's here. So
except all the time taking to solder all that crap.
Which you're not going to do, right?
And this only comes as a kit though. I don't believe he offers this as an assembled board. So.
Right. It wouldn't be $65 if he had to solder it together.
Right. Yeah, it's just like, well, his Sprite board, he offers the Sprite, I think, in 3 different options and stuff, as far as, fully assembled or just the kit. And I think there's another version of it as well. That he offers it. Maybe it's without the case or something like that. So, but so some of the stuff he does solder together. So,
how does that attach to the motherboard?
There's a header row that's here, and it fits into one of the I believe the video chip, and then there's also a ribbon cable here that goes into one of the ROM sockets, I believe. And it's
I saw labeling for Dragon SAM, so I'm assuming it must plug into the SAM chip socket at some point too.
Yeah, and so it sits on top. It's the daughter board that sits on top of it all. I'll when I get it all together, I'll probably pull out my Dragon, and obviously I'm going to test it though. But I can bring it back on the show there and show it.
So I'd like to see that. How does that hover over the other board without shorting anything out or anything?
Well, it stands up on a socket.
Yeah, it stands up on a socket there, so it's above the everything else. It's plugs in a lot like the like the CoCo VGA or the CoCo DVI solutions do.
Okay.
The next thing I want to show you here, some of you may have seen this offered out on eBay, and oops, let me get it out of here. And we have several guys. Rick has done a solution, and Mike Rojas has done a solution, but there's a company out there that is making replacement mylars. Brand new replacement mylars here. Let me back up a little bit. This one's for the CoCo 2. They don't have one for the CoCo 3, but this is a CoCo 2 replacement mylar. I should have gotten the link together. If you do a search for CoCo 2 on eBay and you scroll far enough, you're going to find this here. Oh, here it is. It's RetroFusion. They're actually out of Australia, Mr. Nick Marentes.
Oh, right. Never heard of them.
So, yeah, it's not even Maverick, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's a different company.
No.
Or a separate company. I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but it looks like it's hole for hole.
What's the group of things at the end there on the left side?
It's just where the fold over is, because the mylar, it's 3 layers folded together, and that's just where the fold is at.
Oh, okay. I got you. So is it like exactly like it, or is it? Do they have their own little?
I think that is a replica of the mylar that was in there, because it's 3 layers folded together.
Mm-hmm.
I did ask them if they have a CoCo 3 solution, and they said that this took them 7 months to develop, and they said it was quite costly. And they said depending on how well these sail, whether or not they would pursue a CoCo 3 mylar replacement.
There's a reason I did it the way I did it.
Just out of curiosity, do you know what the cost is of this?
$24. $24.95.
Oh, that's not that bad then. I thought it would
unit
might have been
price
more.
is
The 24
good.
or 34.95 wasn't 24.35 or I can't remember. It was one of the two. So
It's going to be that unit one price that
Yeah, it's a
is
killer.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, shipping $78.
It wasn't too bad. It took I can't remember what the total bill was. I'd have to look and see here if you guys want to go and install and talk really slow here for a second as my thumb moves quickly across the screen.
Well, I was
Let's see here. It was 30 total was, let's see here. Where's the
And how
total?
long did the shipping take for you? Like a month or a couple weeks or
10 days.
from Australia? Well, that's not bad at all.
Yep. It sat in Australia for about 3 days and then it came across the ocean. I think like in 2 days, sat in California for a couple days, and then it only took a couple more days to get from California to where I'm at. So it was
a couple days to dry out.
the total. So yeah, this was the item was 31.46. So I was off the top of my head. Shipping was 25. My total bill was 59 and change. So
That's
not
not
horrible, I guess. So, but anyway, I just I like to, whenever I see it, regardless of who it is and stuff like that, I still like to support efforts within the community. So I wanted to pick one up, and
So would you say that's a light blue? What color is it?
I don't know, kind of a light blue, green. So probably whatever they had. Okay, let's see here. So that's something new. So let's grab something old here. So with this here, I'm hoping that maybe somebody might recognize this and can give me some information. I've not been able to figure out exactly what this is on the piece of tape here that was holding it. It's hard to read because it's all faded out, but it looks like it's saying high res stereo sampler is what I'm kind of high res stereo sampler. And I don't know if anybody recognized this. It says in the corner here, it says Delta 1. On the ROM chip here, it says Delta IO, but I can't find anything else. I've looked around. It does say here, it says Lucas Industries 2000 over in this corner right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Rick, don't cringe, or Bob, at the soldering here because there's a lot of unwashed solder flux on here. So, and a whole bunch of crisscrossy bodge wires. It looks like it was ready to be mounted into a case. So I'm not sure if this was a project that was done at some time. It says high res stereo. So I wonder if it was like, this might've been some sort of audio input. There is a couple cables over here that are labeled. It says, what does it say there?
Maybe an LED.
It says, looks like it says like phones, like headphones or something like that. And there's the word audio here. So I don't know if this was something for maybe doing some sort of audio sampling on the CoCo.
Are those MIDI sockets?
They are a 6. I think MIDI is MIDI just
that
5.
Joystick?
Yeah,
It might be a joystick. Like I said, it was kind of high because it says high res. It's hard to read it, but someone's writing was really bad here, so I don't know. It's like high res. I'm not sure if this is stereo. Like
I wonder if it was
Sounds like a
It might be an audio recording.
yeah,
A
I think
stereo
it's a
recording.
sampler. And it
backboard
uses
or
the
something
left
there.
and right. Yeah, it uses the joystick ports.
Yeah, so basically it's a
Sample.
6-bit analog to digital converter kind of thing. Where you can read you can read two microphones off each joystick port and record in stereo live, I'm guessing.
What's the
I
function
haven't
of
plugged
the
it in or not because some of these wires are really close, so I want to kind of tone everything out before I go and plug this into a CoCo. I don't know. There might be its own ROM, maybe, so it has its own software. So when maybe it boots up to a menu, which would make it self-explanatory.
I mean, you can dump the ROM and see if there's any obvious text in it. That kind of
I thought about
does what
doing
you're
that
saying.
just to see if there was anything on the ROM there. I do have my ROM thing here, so I can probably read it. I just don't know if anybody recognized this or had any idea.
I do remember reading about some stereo sampling cards that could actually read, and there's a modification, the York 90, you could change one of the 8-bit outputs to an 8-bit input, record an 8-bit. Since it's going through the joystick ports, it would be 6-bit in this case, I would guess, if they don't have anything separate, it looks like. But
I wonder
I'm
if
guessing
they-
it's a 6-bit, read the analog signal, convert it to digital. The ROM would probably give you like sampling rates or whatever else, and
I
you
wonder
could
if
record stereo.
Danielle would know.
I don't know. What's the big chip?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. What's the part number on that one? Usually the big chip has the. I see some op amps on there too.
It looks like it's ML2259 CCP or an 8912.
Well, that's gonna be
1989.
the manufacture date.
Yep.
That's pretty late,
CCP.
actually. That's CoCo 3 era.
Well, probably needed a CoCo 3 to do stereo recording.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have to like do the whole PIA sampling thing, unless this head does that on its own.
What's the logo for the manufacturer on it? Can you tell?
So that chip is an 8-bit AD converter.
This?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
That would be
This,
analog.
if it's focusing here, this just says Delta 1 right here. Or just above my finger. And then on
Which
the back
matches.
here,
Did you Google it?
not yet. No,
Yeah.
I just was looking like in the Rainbow Archive. It's probably not going to focus very well here, but this just says Lucas Industries 2000 is all this says right here. So
That name does ring a bell.
It does, yeah.
Lucas Industries.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this was just something that they made all these boards and then like, whoops, we screwed up, so they had to do a
We
whole
had
bunch
to
of.
fix this.
We're not going to make a bunch of new boards. It costs us too much money, so fix what we got or something like that, But
Looking at the IO, it was obviously a lot of handwork. So,
Yep.
Sure, why not? No silk screen. Guy had him made himself.
There's a Lucas Industries in Vermont.
so, well, if
Oh,
anybody,
I'm
in the
going to
chat
guess
has
it came with no manual whatsoever.
No, this is all I had was just this in a static bag here. So, I haven't been able to locate any information yet or a manual that might have been with it. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Maybe someone might have remembered. I just did a quick search on the on archive.org in the Rainbow, and really didn't get a whole lot of hits. I mean, there was some sampling stuff that was out there, but I think it was more software based versus.
Yeah, the only hardware one I remember was the StudioWorks stereo 8-bit input that was from Bleak Tribe, the same guys that did like the 3D Marble Madness and the Seventh Link games and stuff like that. They actually had a hardware audio recording solution that I'm trying to remember the name of it now. Because they sold a software version that actually went through the 6-bit, and they also had a hardware 8-bit version that would record, and you could actually see the waveforms on the screen and mix them together and cut and paste them and all kinds of stuff. CoCo 3 only program.
Okay.
StudioWorks. That was the name of the Big Tribe one.
Okay. Well, if I find some more information about it, I'll share. Or like I said, if I get a chance to tone this out and find out nothing's really shorting out, I'll go ahead and throw this into a CoCo. But I mean the ROM, if I get that dumped, I should be able to do that through an emulator then, possibly
Right.
bring it up. So
And we know the hardware now is an 8-bit AD converter with 2-channel multiplexer, so it is stereo
okay.
in the hardware. So no work on the CoCo's back. It should work really nice.
And then as far as the inputs go, if it's using the left and right joystick, it's probably maybe just read. I guess I might be able to tone this out too, but it might be just feeding in the analog across like the x-axis or the y-axis. I mean, all the pins are pretty much soldered together or soldered on here with these wires here.
Which means that cartridge could be and also used as an 8-bit 8-bit DAC mouse.
Yeah, technically.
Sure.
You want
Right,
software to read it as a driver.
So, but like I said, maybe if I can fire this thing up, it might be all menu driven. It might be self-explanatory too. So, but anyway, well, maybe more to come.
Cool.
Did you say you haven't plugged it in yet?
I haven't yet. When I saw how close all these wires were, and I saw some of this back here, I wanted to kind of try to tone a few things out and just make sure there's no surprises that I don't go and short something out on the CoCo. But
well, just remember the guy that soldered that probably soldered 57 of them that day, so it may be sloppy, but he was really good at it. You know?
So there's the something old. So, and I guess for something blue, just to kind of keep up with the theme here. Let me back up out a little bit here. There we go.
Gantlet.
Yep, I picked up a set of discs here on Gantlet there. So I really did like these sleeves. I thought the sleeves were neat. So
Is that Gantlet 2 or Gantlet the
Two.
original?
2.
Okay, yeah,
Two.
CoCo 3 only one.
So, and like, I guess I'm going with the blue because the labels were blue. So, and then I just have one more thing to share with you guys, and this one's going to fall underneath the category of you pay for what you get. So, let me bring this here over. Oops, got the cord here. Let me get this cord off. Ooh, well, I wrapped it up good. Come on, let go. It's not wanting to let go here. Hold on. Sorry about this. Woo. There it goes. Okay. Trying to tangle myself up here. Okay. We all know what this is.
Yep. Multipak.
Good old multipak.
The original
here.
gray one, yep.
Yep. So, and this was out. I picked this up. It was like, I'll just say very inexpensive out on eBay there. And they had a buy now, and so my finger impulsively hit it. And so, but like I said, it was a low price. Well, for starters, there was no screws holding the cover on when I received it, so that was one sign. The screws and various other things were just laying inside. So they were actually rolling around inside there. I put them in this baggie, but everything was just kind of rolling around, the cover for the transformer and everything. And to continue you pay for what you get, the button was missing off the switch, but I have some of these buttons there, so that's not a problem. Let me roll this in right about here.
Do we have a drum roll?
No. And,
Something's in the top connector.
okay. Anybody see what might be missing?
Yeah, there's a chip missing there.
Oh, the
What's
PAL.
that?
The PAL chip's missing, so
The
this
PAL
thing's not
chip's gone.
this is not going to work at all.
Well,
So,
it cost you $3 or $4 to fix it.
well, I agree though, but like I said, it was just one of those things where you kind of, like you said, you pay for what you get type of situation there. So
No. You paid for. You got it really cheap. If all it needs is a PAL chip, you got it really cheap.
And I think I actually have a PAL chip. I need to go dig through, but I mean, the board wasn't even screwed down in there, so I don't know if somebody was trying to repair this, or I'm not sure exactly what the story is.
Right.
But
Well, the important thing though is these can always be repaired. Every chip is available. There's nothing that's proprietary about this device whatsoever.
Yeah, it's all TTL logic across.
They are all still fixable, unlike the small MPI, which if it's dead, it may just be dead.
Right.
So this is a win. Silver MPIs are always a win. Don't let them go.
I think Mark Marlette has a fix for the newer.
Yeah, I think he's there's
because he fixed mine without the chips needed by making a board or something.
I think he sells the PALs too.
Yep.
Yeah, the PALs were for the older ones, and the satellite board was for the newer multipacks. Wasn't that how that worked?
Right.
Yep.
But then there was the custom ASIC chip, which unless Mark's got the ASIC chip, can't be gotten.
No, but he made up a way around it.
Cool. And Mark's your man.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing to watch on eBay, I saw a listing for a CoCo for like $60 or so, and I said, that sounded great until I looked at the fine print and he wanted $120 for shipping.
Yeah, that's the old eBay scam. That way they get all the money because eBay takes seller fees out of the price.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
they
they take
fixed that.
They
But
did
the
fix
shipping, you get to keep all. Well, you used to get to keep all of it.
No, they fixed that years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
they take money out of the shipping too, but people still do that, and I don't understand why.
It's just a way to rip people off. Because you're like, oh, I'm getting a good deal. Oh, wait, how much did I pay for shipping?
So you offer the guy local pickup.
Right.
But yeah, eBay, you do have to kind of watch what's out there. There was a guy, and I hope this isn't one of your stories, Curtis, but there was a post on Facebook. A guy posted a picture saying, "Why is there a CoCo 3 keyboard in a Color Computer 2?" And if you read down through the article, unfortunately, there was a color computer that was out on eBay, and it at first glance it's like, ooh, $59 starting bid for a CoCo 3. I'm going to jump on that one. And I don't know what the bidding went up to. I think maybe it was like $150 or $160. And the guy was probably thinking that he got himself a good deal for a CoCo 3 until he received it and found out that it was just a CoCo 3 or a CoCo 2 with a CoCo 3 keyboard in there.
If it's what I'm thinking about, it's actually a deluxe one. It had the black background instead of the gray,
Right,
didn't it?
right. Someone had just swapped out the keyboard, but
right. And
don't assume.
Unfortunately, if had he looked a little closer and scrolled through the pictures, the seller did have a picture of the bottom of the computer, and you could tell by the model number and everything that it was not a color computer 3 though. But I mean, you know, to his benefit, I guess, you know, at first glance, you know, it may have just it's like, ooh, cool, color computer 3. But yeah, you really got to watch what you're doing out there on eBay, because there's some people out there that are, I don't think they're trying to be scrupulous though, but there's obviously, what I want to say, sellers that aren't aware of what they have. They just come across something at an auction or whatever, or somebody brings something into their store, and they're just going to flip it. They don't know what a color computer, you know, color computer 2 from a color computer 3 is, and they put it out there. So, you know, you have to educate yourself a little bit. But yeah,
especially if they use vintage and rare.
Right. Well, and that's where the current market really messes us up, because these guys, they don't know what it is. So they search for it on eBay. Someone sold one for $8.99. Okay, that's my price, $899.
Yep.
No idea what it's worth or anything about it. And so, yeah, it's up to you to decide what you're looking at.
Yeah, if I see a color computer 2 that's just way up there in price, I reach out to many of those sellers, and I just say, I'll say something along the lines of like, is there something I'm missing here with this listing? Because this is a color computer 2, not a color computer 3. They're two totally different machines. This is really only about $100 machine that you're selling here. And sometimes they'll respond back and say thank you. Other times they'll just say, well, you don't like it, don't buy it.
If you.
And sometimes they just ban you from bidding.
Then they ban you from bidding. Yeah. So,
Brian, do you have the slider for the switcher? You know.
Oh, right.
Just in the,
Yep.
Do you have that?
That's more valuable than the whole multi-pack. You have the switch.
Oh, good.
Yep. So, yep.
Can you loan me that switch so I can 3D print it?
What's that?
Oh, wait, I had the big one. I need the little one. Never mind.
Oh, you need the little one? Okay. So, well, that's all I got, guys. But
good finds. I want.
That's the end of the show.
You wish, Nick.
Hey, Nick, did you see your one and only? Not to change subjects, but real quick, I don't want to dominate too much time. But Nick, did you see your one and only fan out there on Facebook?
Yeah, one and only.
How much did that cost you, Nick?
There was a guy out there that was
$50.
Donut Dilemma and one other game that he
Group of Rhythm. Nick's most hated game.
So anyway,
apparently he lives in my town. I can't remember him.
Yeah.
How much did you pay him?
Top secret.
Yeah.
Okay.
He needed a fender for his car.
Nick wrote it off as part of his advertising budget, I think. So.
All right, we're ready for commercial break.
Or do you want me to do my quick 3 upcoming shows announcements, then a commercial break?
Yeah, let's go and do that.
Just to clear that out of there. Okay. Okay, so first of all, is the Vintage Computer Festival SoCal, Southern California, February 17th to 18th, 2024. And that's at the Hotel Farah Events Center in Orange, California. So that one we've been mentioning for a while. Next up, since we're past handy assembling a few other things here, I thought I'd start getting the upcoming other ones coming up. So next up is the 32nd annual Last Chicago CoCoFEST, one of the most inappropriately named fests ever until next year, which will be on May 4th and 5th, 2024 at the Holiday Inn and Suites in Chicago, Carroll Stream, same place as last year. And is the room's been blocked out with the cheaper rates already? I can't remember, because Grant was supposed to be on, but he's been sicker away lately, so I'm not sure if that's already or not. Does anybody here know from the Glenside meeting or something?
I believe he said they were a couple of shows back, but It's worth asking, I guess.
I was thinking that as well.
I've got it on my list that I should be doing it, so I assume that I wrote that down for a reason. So.
Yeah. Mikey is saying that the Tandy Assembling Gathering has not started yet, 2 p.m. Pacific at San Francisco State University. I do know that there was a post on the TRS80 Discord as of last weekend that they were sold out, and if they have any more people show up, it's going to be breaking fire marshal code. So basically, you can't get in if you don't already have a ticket. That's why I didn't bother mentioning it today. Hopefully, we'll get a kind of a report and some photos from Mikey and some others, though, later on. And then the third one that just got announced this week is Boatfest number 3, which is the one run by the Amigos in Hurricane, West Virginia. That's June 14th to 16th. And Social Event Space, which is a different venue. It doesn't have creaky stairs that you have to crawl up, if Ken remembers. This, you just walk in through the front. It's a little bit bigger. It's not too far. You can actually see the old location from where it is. But it's a bit bigger of a venue, and it's all on the ground floor. So tickets are just started going on sale for $30. They're waiting for some hotel blockages there too, because that particular hotel that we stayed at, I think if you go there during a weekday, it's like $86 a night. And if you go there on the weekend when Boatfest is, it's $239 a night. So they're waiting to block some off to get a bit of a discount. So that's the other one coming up. And then the full version of the poster, if you want to go here, if you need any more information, you go to boatfest.info for that one. And that's a more of a retro gaming themed. I mean, they do have a lot of hardware and stuff, and Frank's usually there with Retro Rewind doing upgrades and fixes and stuff for a variety of machines. So that's all there too. Anything you want to add, Ken? You've been to Boatfest, and it's probably fresh in your mind.
Don't trust your phone to tell you where you're going in that town.
That's right.
It actually has signs right in the town not to use GPS because it doesn't work within their town.
Yep, it does have that too. They also have a really good pizza place that's fairly nearby this
really
place.
Good, yeah.
Yeah. So
are you and Ken looking at going again?
I think so.
Possibly, yeah.
As long as the money's there, and I won't know that until a few months beforehand, but should be able to. It's fun though. It's if you want to see a lot of retro game machines, they bring out stuff like Vectrixes and all kinds of rarer machines too. So. And there's a kind of a flea table where people can kind of just bid. I mean, Ken, you bought a few things on that, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you can pick up some pretty cheap.
Yeah, got an auction. There's also a free table of stuff that people just bring to give away. And it's
there's also like and there's game competitions you get to play against other players, some modern games, some older games. And a variety of machines, including CoCo's. That's where I got that Dragon magazine I've shown on the show before too. Actually, one of the people that came in from England came and gave me that as a free gift. I was not expecting that at all. And that's the shows I have upcoming so far.
Okay.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Taylor. We're watching the CoCo Nation Show. Yeah, we are. Woo! You should too.
Hello everyone, it's your good buddy, your good pal Amigo, and joined by that dastardly The Brent from ARG Presents.
You're watching CoCo Nation.
I feel like that should have been longer.
The CoCo Nation Show would like to thank the following patrons: Alex Gayer, Brendan Donahue, Brian Walsh, Brian Wiesler, Kieran Anscombe, Coconut Bob, Daddy Burrito, Diego BF109, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Wabke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Kevin Holloway, Patrick Euland, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, R. Allen Murphy, Retro Tech Time, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Batson, Terry Steege, TJ B. Chris, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., and William Athing. Thank you so much, patrons.
Welcome to everybody's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord?
Scala Bjorn says, "Greetings all, I'm Richard S., games modder, Twitch and Kick streamer, voice actor, Viking reenactor and former employee and store manager of a few Radio Shacks long back in the day. The CoCo 1 was my first home computer in my high school days, with LCB. Eventually moving up to a full system with a CoCo 3, drives, modems and tons of games. Been a very long time since I have had my hands on a CoCo, and having found the archive, the CoCo bug has been rekindled. Cheers all." The previous bios were edited for time. Thanks to Alex Gayer, Boysen, Glenside Computer Club, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Tandy Color Computer 3, and the CoCo Nation patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. Just go to discord.thecoconation.com.
See you on Discord.
Welcome everybody to the CoCo Nation Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This week we played the Halloween version of Ghost Rush. We had a total of 23 players. They were Charlie 280, Damon Beals 350, Lily 370, Ed Rhodes 380, Henry III 390, C. Duras 400, Mark B 430, Grant B 470, Mr.Dave 6309 550, Gummy Bear 560, Jim Rye 580, Rich N 610, Tasman 620, L Curtis Boyle 660, Flutterball 690. Tied for 7th place we had Canadian Retro Things and Coconut Bob, both with 710. David Craker 790, Joshua 840, Buck Owens 860, Shenley 930, Sloopy Malibu 940, and this week's number one score goes to Nerf Herder with 1030. Thanks everybody that played, and we'll see you again next week.
We should have took bets on that one.
Definitely a good game. It was a nice game to get other members of the family involved in, as you'll notice a bunch of people's kids also played, so a good way to bring the CoCo to a younger generation.
Yep, it's a game that's easy to learn. There's only one control button and hard to master.
Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. What else is there to say about it other than you just run around in circles and collect dots.
And dodge a lot of stuff.
Dodge a lot of stuff.
What's the evil pumpkin?
I did find that definitely the CoCo 1-2 version was easier because the hitbox wasn't nearly as big as, like on the CoCo 3, if you touch the bat, you were dead. Even 1 pixel. Whereas on the CoCo 1-2 version, you could get away with like slipping in under his wing, or
if you got him from behind, he didn't see you.
Yeah. So.
And the Halloween themed graphics and even the music's changed a little bit for the Halloween edition. Actually, really makes it Halloween flavored. It's really well done.
And of course, the other game we're playing this week is Reloaded.
Neutroid.
You know, yeah, that game.
Yeah, okay.
Neutroid Reloaded.
The game whose name shall not be spoken.
And I kept thinking Matrix.
It's the Matrix Reloaded.
I've nicknamed it Neutroid Regurgitated myself, but
yeah. It is muchly improved. I
Yeah, it is.
haven't
It is.
actually had a chance to play it yet, but I'll be buying it later today. So, Nick, watch out for my purchase. I want my copy.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely makes more sense now.
Yeah. Huge improvement, honestly.
Yeah. It's easier to wrap your brain around the fact that you're not controlling the Neutroid dot or whatever. You're controlling everything, or you're controlling how it moves by changing the walls or whatever, the
maze.
Yeah.
The grid.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Well, that's the proper word.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, the proper word is a good word for it. Fine.
So Nick, I didn't get a chance to even watch the game live challenge much this past day because I was busy. Did you manage to make it by for the officials launch?
No, it's a bad day for me, that Thursday that you have it on, so
yeah,
I can never make it. Yeah.
So it's definitely working having it that day.
Bastards.
But
we're supposed to reveal that secret yet, Ken?
Oops. It took hours of planning to figure out when to have it. Yeah, a few people played it. I don't think everybody had their copies of it yet, so come on, people, get your copies.
Yeah, I've sold a few copies this week, so thanks to all those people supporting my humble efforts.
I got mine.
Easy for you to say.
You got the download.
Yes,
the CD apparently. Yeah, it's coming. I checked the Kunaki website to make sure they got it. So they've got it.
I'm still not sure I'd use humble and
manufacturing.
Nick in the same sentence, though.
But yeah, so I'm not sure that Neutroid is going to be a game that brings the family together as much as Ghost Rush. But
it'll be like having a Thanksgiving dinner with opposite political parties in your family.
Actually, I think Bob had it playing in the background when he first started the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he's about to fire it up again right now.
Product placement coming up, folks.
Yep.
That's right.
But yeah, definitely it was a lot of fun there. I mean, a lot of us were playing Ghost Rush. A couple of were playing Neutroid, so I don't think anybody strayed actually from the games of the week this week, so they held our interest. And here we go. If you look at Bob's screen, you can see Neutroid starting up.
Whoops.
Oh, nope.
See, even he would rather look at his desk.
Well, I was thinking of you there, Curtis. So you have both the items that are like kryptonite to you. Neutroid and the soldering iron.
Yeah, like that looks like a death trap over at Bob's place there for me.
It's the beginnings of a new video game.
I was just thinking about that thing we were talking about during the pre-show, the film of it's just paint drying for 10 hours.
Yeah. Are you saying that's what it's like to watch Neutroid play?
Oh, that's a secret.
What's the secret?
Well, he's just going back and forth, and it happens to be hitting them all just right.
Yeah, sometimes you can get the timing just right.
Yeah, sometimes you get that timing just right. For a short while, anyway.
Yeah.
So I do have to say that I'm looking forward to when I get a copy of this to trying it out, because it looks like it's going to be, sorry, Nick, but infinitely more fun than the other version.
Yeah, I agree. And if you
Fourth
want to get
one's
your
the
copy, you
charm.
can get the physical copy itself, which actually comes on a nice full color DVD jeweled case and the whole shebang. Or you can get the digital download. If you get the actual jeweled case copy, you get the digital download, so you don't have to wait for it to ship. You get that at nickmarentes.com.
Oh, right. Let me go check my
Neutroid
mailbox.
Reloaded, now with more fun.
You don't even need the word more there.
Just fun. Now with fun.
And the artwork on the jewel case is really cool too. Nick did a nice job of laying that out.
Yeah.
Better than the game, all right?
You should have had Einstein on one side and Isaac Asimov on the other side to kind of tie them with the Radio Shack ads we had back in the early
I was
80s.
thinking of that actually, yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely support Nick's efforts. It is actually this version is a really good version of Neutroid. It's now superior to the Model 1 version. I could not say that on the previous ones.
All right. Well, I don't think there's anything else to say about either of these games. So we will talk about our live show.
I will mention it worked on a CoCo 1, 2, or 3 and 64K.
Okay.
So people know.
Yeah, you must have 64.
And it works in the Dragon as well. It's Dragon 64 or 32 upgraded to 64K.
Yeah. It works even on a 64K with the audio upgraded, but it's a little bit distorted, the sound, because of that bug in the Dragon. But because the sounds are more or less explosions and static and all that stuff, it doesn't
You won't
matter.
even notice.
Extra noise.
It's a bit whiter of noise than usual, I guess, is what you
Yeah.
say.
Noise is noise.
All right. So this was our live gaming session on Thursday night. As you can see, a few versions of Ghost Rush going on and one version of next game, Neutroid. So
Which one has more colors?
which one has more colors? Well, you
Also,
can
which
really
one
mess with the colors on Ghost Rush a lot.
Yeah. Which one has a pause function?
The CoCo 3 version of Ghost Rush actually does have quite a few colors in it. More than I think Neutroid does. Isn't it a 16 color?
I'm not
Neutroid
sure.
is 8.
Yeah. You would definitely have more colors in the easier version of Ghost Rush, which only has the
right.
4 artifact, but the CoCo 3 one actually has CoCo 3 enhanced graphics.
Oh, it has 16 color graphics, has it?
I
Right.
think. I'm trying to remember if it just did a custom palette with 4. I don't remember which one.
I thought it was a custom palette with 4, yeah.
I thought it used more than 4, but maybe I'm remembering wrong. Did anybody play the
But
CoCo 3 version on the stream, Ken?
I think I'm playing it right in the top corner there.
Oh, what weird color palette you got going there?
Well, you can have four foreground and the border.
I might not have been. I don't know. Oh, maybe no. I played the CoCo 2 version this week. It was last week I played the CoCo 3 version.
All right.
I was playing when I was playing it last week, I had the composite turned on to turn it into
Well,
a pink game.
The one in the top right must be a CoCo 3 because you can't have those colors on a CoCo 2.
Well, it could be just custom palette settings on a CoCo 3, but playing the CoCo 2
Yeah,
version.
that's what I mean. Yeah, I think they're just the 4 colors customized.
I played the CoCo 3 version for a little while.
During this stream?
Yeah.
Can you find that, Ken? Just so we can take a quick view.
It was early on, and then later I switched when somebody finally told me that the file I had actually was the CoCo 3 version, the 16 color one.
All right, I got
That
the
looks
CoCo
like
3
it.
version on right now.
Okay, I will stop sharing here and we'll look at your screen.
So definitely just in the title screen alone, you got.
Yeah, that's got more than 4.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let me try that again.
I don't have a button I can push. There's no keyboard. I don't
Yeah,
have-
that's definitely more than 4. And a black border. I love black borders.
I think it should be a green border.
Oh, I got my mouse handy. I'll plug that in. You can play this with a mouse.
You can play it with a keyboard.
What's the
With a
keyboard?
button.
I think enter.
Now, Paul,
You can play with
Paul's
a big
done a
red
good
button.
job. Paul's done a good job with the choice of colors too. Even on the CoCo 1 and 2, the 4 colors there. Overall, it looks quite colorful. Like he's done well with the 4 colors. Yeah, that's definitely 16 colors. That one there.
The red eyes on the back.
Yeah.
You got like
Calmness.
gray and white
Right.
and the spider webs and
Things
Yeah,
aren't-
yeah, that one is a 16.
Things aren't clashing. That's how you can tell 16 colors. They don't all clash against each other like a.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Well, if you want to play more games like this, then join us on Thursday nights at
8 p.m.
o'clock.
Eastern.
Okay, 8 p.m. Eastern.
5 o'clock,
5 o'clock
Ken's
my
time.
5 o'clock my time. That's all that matters. And yeah, it's.
I won't
it'll
tell you
be
what
an-
time it plays here because that's changing over the weekend. So
Yeah, it'll be an hour earlier than normal, eh?
Yeah, it'll be an hour different for people that don't change their clocks. It'll be the same time for those of us that do change the clocks.
well, no,
Like-
because not everybody changes clocks at the same time either. Because I think they said there's a week
Right.
that the people in the UK are going to be on the new time and then it
Oh.
switches back because they switch later. Please, people, just get your
Just-
governments to shut the
Yeah.
stupid thing off. Don't do any more of this daylight savings crap.
Keep them all the same.
Yes.
It confuses me. It just confuses me to no end. And being as somebody that came from a place that we never changed our clocks and moving to a place where we do, it is the absolute stupidest thing.
I
Yep.
agree. It's dumb. It's really stupid. I hate it every year.
I was actually reading an article today on that, and apparently a lot of the states have already voted in favor of doing the change. Whether they stay on daylight or stay on regular time is up to them. But basically, everybody's pretty well agreed. But there's some federal law done in the 60s that has to be revoked first or changed.
Yeah, which will never happen.
What it is any state can stay on standard time, but if they want to stay on daylight time all the time, then that requires federal approval.
Yeah, because originally they wanted things to be consistent, so everybody changed at the same time. There wouldn't be like, Arizona does it this week and Hawaii does it this week, and
Right.
Arizona doesn't. Neither does Hawaii.
It
nor
doesn't
Puerto
do it at all.
yeah, that was really bad examples I picked. But
Yes.
Well, so
Anyways.
next Curtis will solder.
I lived in Dallas and I moved to Milwaukee, and those are two separate edges of the same time zone. And it's so screwed up. The things I would want in Dallas are completely different than the thing I would want in Milwaukee. But in both cases, I don't want it to change. Just pick one, damn it.
Yeah, just pick one and stay with it.
yeah,
I'll live with it getting dark at 4 p.m. I don't care. Just pick something.
Just get up earlier in the morning.
Ugh.
They should trial 1 year. 1 year, just have them all the same, just for 1 year. And if everyone likes
oh no,
it,
nobody would switch back. The problem is that federal law that they did in the 60s to try to make it consistent as to when
Like
the
here-
states changed.
Here in BC, we've already voted to do it. It's just that we can't do it until the states below us do it because
Why? That's a stupid excuse.
Yeah,
Just do it.
It's an absolutely stupid excuse. Their excuse is we can't have the time change on a below us. We can't have be on a different time than the state below us, even though we're on a different time than half the year from the Yukon, which is directly above us, and that doesn't. Nobody has any problem with
just
that.
crap.
I mean, Arizona does just fine the way they are.
Yep. Saskatchewan just does just fine too. So does parts of Australia, like where Nick is. So no, that's just bullshit. Sorry.
Anyways, off the political topics of time changing. Join us next week whenever the show starts for you. You can even come in the middle of it. I don't care. Just join us.
Turn on notifications on Twitch and YouTube. That's what you got to do.
And yeah, you can just join us to chat, or you can join us to play games, whatever you want. Even just join us in the audience. And on that, for next week, we are going to be playing Neutroid Reloaded for one more week. And then a game that was suggested to us by none other than the author of Neutroid Reloaded.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah.
This game, if anybody
Oh, thank God it's not
recognizes it.
another one of his own games.
Prospector. No. Prospector.
Hey, you're not supposed to guess. You already knew what it was.
Oh, sorry.
Well, he didn't guess then, did he?
Okay, who was the original author? There you go. Guess that.
From
Yeah.
Rainbow Magazine.
Yeah, but who was the author?
Yeah, I didn't check.
I will say there's 50 screens on this one.
Yep. Anyway, since it's already been guessed,
Thanks, Nick.
it's Prospector
All right.
by Lee Chappell.
Lee Chappell. Yeah.
And we will be playing on regular, not on practice. So,
And this is an assembly language game?
Yes, it is.
yep.
Yes.
Ooh.
I'm surprised this never became a commercial game.
There's
So
a few though, like Space Hawks from Hot Cocoa. This one, there's been a few that were commercial quality that they actually published in magazines.
Yeah.
So
'cause
it's
this
kind of
one's
nice too
actually a
because
good
they
one.
have like an article on it, and it's, here's the assembly language source listing, and here's how the game works. Like it teaches you. That was why I
And
like
here's where you key in all those data statements.
And
Yeah.
this game will run on a color computer 1, 2, or 3, 32K of RAM, and a joystick.
And now
Unlike
I can do
Neutroid.
it. It does.
And for those of you who want to type it in, which issue of Rainbow is this in?
December 1988. If you feel like typing it in.
Ooh, I bet that one.
Or
has
here,
Christmas
take a
tree on
mallet
it.
to your head. Same thing.
Would it be on Rainbow on Disc?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
also available in the archive. So
There we go. Points equals points plus 10.
Now I will say that the ultimate game challenge will be to type it in with no bugs and play it before the 2-week span is up. If you can do that, you automatically win no matter what your score is.
Type
but
it
then
in
you
on a
can
Coco
change-
One chiclet keyboard.
Yeah, then you can change the scoring algorithm if you type it in.
Yes, I was
so-
about to say that actually. We can all cheat.
No, I said it has to be the fully debugged proper version when you're done though, with all those data.
because if
statements,
it's
et cetera.
not scoring properly or you have more men than you're supposed to, then it is a bug of the original game. Because you did
because we can do a
something wrong.
binary compare and make sure it's matching. But I want to see video footage of you typing the whole thing in, trying to debug it when it starts to crash because you did a couple of typos.
Ooh, this will just be like the paint drawing video.
Yeah.
Oh, this brings us back to those line summing programs that they
Yeah,
used
make
to
sure your
have.
rainbow check is ready in the background so you can periodically make sure you didn't screw up too badly.
Since I'm not a big game player or anything, but when games are saved off on the archive, do they sometimes have, or maybe my question should start with this: do a lot of games keep track of high score and names first?
No.
Quite a few do within the play session. Far less will save that out to disc, and far less than that will save it out to cassette.
I know
Like Sailor
Rich
Man
Brown-
did save high scores, for example, but most it's just you fire up the game. As long as you keep playing it, don't change anything else, it'll keep track of some top scores and
So
initials.
just make sure your parents don't turn the computer off when you get a high score and you want to show it to your friends.
And I remember a lot of games, if you broke out of the game and C-saved it, it would save the high scores. Was that
Yeah.
CoCo or Sinclair? I don't remember. But there were things you could do it, but no one ever did.
So I started to ask if you save, you play your game and you save it and it still has your scores and stuff, and then you wind up sending it to the archive. Then the archive winds up with your
Yes.
file, your
There you
names
go.
of, Sailor Man or
Well, the authors did it.
Donna Bawana,
Yeah.
I think, was another
Yeah.
one that does it.
That would be then called a hacked version.
Okay,
Yeah.
even
There you
though
go.
it's not
Not
original.
Previously played but well loved version.
Right. So would there ever be a point where there wouldn't be enough names left?
Well, it'll usually only keep track of 10 scores, and then if you
Right.
beat it, it'll
Yeah, and
just
some only
drop
do
the
like
bottom
5
one
or
off.
3 too. So I mean,
So
it
eventually
depends.
the score,
It always just drops the bottom score off. It'll only keep track of a certain number.
yeah, so it's like the arcade. You go in and you'll never hit the high score list because it's 10 billion. And my
Yeah.
personal best is 1800.
Where you reach around and unplug the game for a minute.
There you go.
Yeah. That's how I beat my brother in some of the games, because when he would leave the room after beating my score, I'd shut the machine off, go, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
No.
I never saw
Prove
that
it.
number.
And back in the day, we didn't have cameras that you can take a quick picture and prove it because you have to get it developed.
Well, of course we did. You had
Polaroid.
Polaroids. Everyone had a Polaroid.
That's what we did. I always did. I took a Polaroid before somebody shut the machine off on me.
Well, I was going back further, I guess.
Actually, what
Polaroid
I
used
always
to be
did is I
expensive.
hooked my computer up through the VCR, and if I was going for a high
Recorded it.
score game, I recorded it.
Oh,
I
there
wish
you
I
go.
still had those tapes, because that would be awesome to be able to
Right.
replay. I did that a lot with my ColecoVision.
Well, I can tell you, I did some of that too, and some of it's really extremely boring. Because
I don't know. I've
you
you know,
fast
how
forward.
popular some of the game streams on Twitch and stuff are, where they play like
Yeah.
6 hours straight of a game, and there's like 5,000 people watching it live and commenting and stuff. It's
Right.
it's a different world now we're on.
I guess.
Actually, if
just
you still
like-
have some of those, Ron, you should put them up on Twitch. You probably get
Just
thousands
like
of
if
hits.
somebody
To be a-
wants to watch somebody solder for 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, what I have is stupid things I wanted to do having to do with astronomy, and I would, put a picture of Saturn up or something, but I didn't have the ability to switch between screens very cleanly, so it would go, and then it would come back to a clear screen then for the next frame, and I had a
There's
bunch of
so
that.
many different groups of people now that watch YouTube and Twitch, etc., that I'm sure you would find an audience even for that.
Oh, gee.
There's even people that watch this show.
Yeah, there you go. Case in point.
There you go.
It's
And
not
I
just
mean,
us
this
on the
show
panel.
goes on and on and on and on.
And there's still people here.
I have a bunch of video, which is probably useless to most people, but it's of VHS tapes of whole flights of the space shuttle, from pre-launch an hour or two before to post-launch an hour or two after on, maybe 60 tapes, on a couple of flights that I was able to do the whole thing. And, some of that is dead time where, it's at night and the astronauts are sleeping, and you just see the Earth and the plot of the space shuttle going across, or you'll see it.
I wouldn't be surprised
space
if most of
station
that's
coming.
already on YouTube, Ron.
Yeah, it could
Oh,
be.
save that. We can feed it into a holodeck.
The reason I was able to do that is because I had dish, and it was free. NASA was
Mhm.
free, and you could watch the whole space shuttle flight.
And not
I just
encrypted.
thought, yeah, and I just
Yeah.
thought to myself, well, heck, why not just record it? In the future, it'd be cool to see.
Yeah, I remember I recorded a couple of the early shuttle launches way back in the early 80s too, but I don't think I have those anymore.
And the other thing I remember recording was when I think it was one of the Voyagers left and went past like Jupiter or Saturn, and they had live video of that feed, and
Yep.
that was neat to see.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, but I wasn't smart enough to record back then. I would have liked to seen like the Pioneers and then the Voyagers and all that doing the feeds back. Anyway, we're getting a bit off topic here.
Yeah, sorry.
Just a bit.
Asparagus?
So anyway, the two games for next week, Ken, are again.
The
Neutroid.
Prospector and Neutroid Reloaded. Asking me questions afterwards when I've already forgotten what I was talking about. Jeez, I'm old. Give me a break.
There's a club here.
Where am I at? Who are these people?
And I will now be able to play Prospector in real artifact colors.
That's
because
right.
I
You now have a SCART RGB
Yes,
there, don't you?
I've got Jason's cable. I bought a HDMI box, and I can now get color or
And you-
artifact colors.
Artifact colors, because you're using an NTSC CoCo 3.
Yes, I do have an NTSC CoCo.
Okay. I just want to clarify, if you don't have an NTSC CoCo 3, you're not going to get artifact colors on a switcher brew.
No, that's true.
So, Nick, are we going to be able to convert you to liking artifact colors? Because you've always hated them.
Yeah, I have. Well, I don't know about liking them quite, but at least now I can look at it properly. I could before, but I had to, pull out the other TV set and hook up because it could do NTSC, and it was just a lot of mucking around. I never did. But now, at the flick of a switch of the what do you call your cable, Jason?
It's a switch-a-roo because it has a picture of a kangaroo on it. Yes.
That's it.
Available from CoComan.biz.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug for CoComan.biz. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Yeah. Well, I know from talking to Nick, he's really impressed with like the 80 columns and stuff. How nice and clear it is. It was funny because he did the same thing I did. He forgot to plug in the composite cable for the proper signal. He's going, this looks like crap. That's the exact same thing I did.
No, I forgot. I forgot to plug in the second USB. What's the second USB used for, Jason?
Okay, what the USB is doing is I went ahead and made it a USB connector. So again, we don't have to deal with different power standards in different countries. But what it's doing is there's a pin, I believe it is pin 16 on the SCART connector that a SCART display, or in this case, a SCART converter, is looking for a 1 to 3 volt signal on pin 16. And when it doesn't see that signal, it goes over, it converts the composite video. When it sees that 1 to 3 volts on pin 16, that's the RGB. So that's what the switch is switching on and off.
Well, that explains it, because when I first did it without that plug, everything was really blurry. I thought, wow, gee, this is a pretty shit upgrade, isn't it? So, until I saw the other cable, and I thought, I better plug this one in too.
Well, that's when you look at the instruction manual.
That's why I have an instruction sheet with it. Then at the top of the installation instructions, it says all connections must be made for proper operation.
Manuals. Who reads those?
I know instructions. Oh, I'm glad you got it working. That's good.
It works really good now. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's great.
Anyway, get the games and play them. Join us on Thursday evening. I should be able to make this one. It was a kind of a special thing. I'd go on Thursday. I could make it myself.
And if you can't make it on Thursday, you can still just play the game, take a picture, and post the score in the Game On Challenge channel
on Discord.
I might have
what's the deadline again? Because it's kind of moved now that you're kind of in charge again. I think it's a little bit later.
Sometime on Friday night.
Oh, there's no set time.
No, there's no set. It's usually whenever I get home.
Doesn't have to do with daylight
a half
savings,
hour after I
right?
get home.
Cool.
So that's as clear as milk.
Yeah, I mean, it's never before 8 o'clock my time, which is like 10 o'clock.
11 Eastern.
11 Eastern.
Okay, so no time before 11 Eastern. Good enough.
Yeah.
Okay. That's later than it has been, so that's good.
Well, that was just when I was in Ontario. I was closing it off a little bit earlier because otherwise,
yeah, Soupy closes off early because he's in the Eastern time zone too. So
if not, I was up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning doing the thing, and I always had to get up Saturday morning. So
makes sense.
Okay. All right. Well, ready for news?
Sure.
Yeah, Game On news first.
Yep.
Okay.
This is it. What a cool intro.
Okay, I hope I got the right one here. It's beeping.
Yes, it is.
Oh, most definitely. It's nice and ear
I already had
piercing.
that down at half volume too. Actually, I'll just mute it. How's that? Okay, so Jim Gary actually has been quite busy. He's ported a lot of things, and he's done some long play videos on some games and stuff too. So the first one here is called Electron, originally by Frank O'Connor, and it's not related to Electron from Spectral Associates in any way, shape, or form. This is originally from the TI 99 4A and from the magazine Home Computing Weekly, September 13th edition, and I believe that was a UK-based publication. So he ported that over to the MC10. So I'll just fast forward past all these instructions because, as pointed out, nobody reads them anyway.
And we can read part of your desktop too.
Oh, did it share the whole screen?
No, yeah, I can share the whole screen.
Disk. Let me fix that.
This is why you should come to rehearsal.
No, it just means I clicked the wrong thing.
What happens when you play too much Neutroid?
What the heck? That actually should have shared properly. Try that again. No, it's showing whole screen again, isn't it?
Yeah.
What the dad burn heck?
Zoom, what'd you do?
Yeah, it's not giving me
just
the
waiting.
option to.
I think there was a Zoom update here.
There was a
When I,
Oh, you're on the wrong version. Curtis is obsolete.
Yeah, mine updated when I started Zoom today, so I don't
Why
know.
don't you just remove the stuff that's offensive from your desktop and go ahead and show it?
Do you know how much crap's on my desktop I'd have to move?
Can you just maximize?
It's already onto the
Maximize.
second monitor. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I'll just maximize the window, I guess. Let me move my stuff around here.
So Electron and getting rid of piles of atomic waste and sparks. Did somebody knock off Neutroid in BASIC?
That's very
Looks like
possible.
I've really started a trend here. Everything's atomic.
Right.
There's the grid.
It's even a grid, exactly. I like the chat says it looks a lot like Poltergeist. You're right, 60, it does.
Actually, it kind of does. You're right.
But can you hold the button in?
Yeah, I'm on this level on Poltergeist. That's a fun one. So he does a standard XY alternating, to simulate legs walking with your hands up in the air type thing character. And you have to pick up the cyan blocks and then dodge the white alien opponents or whatever they are. So that's the first one. Next up, he did one called Watchmen. Now, this is written by Scott Davidson, which was based on the original version by Mac Oglesby from way back in February of 1975. So this predates even the triumvirate of the initial home computers from Apple, Tandy, and Commodore. From Creative Computing, this is the May-June 1978 version that he converted over, as you can see on the credits here. So this is a very old one. And basically, because it's that old, it's going to be pretty well text-based for the most part.
That's when I was driving my 68 Charger.
So you see, it kind of draws a map and then labels them, and then you have to punch in your what direction you want to move type thing. But then it has to redrop the map every time, because back then, they didn't even have like cursor XY on these ancient computers and terminals and stuff back. You're lucky to have a screen, I would guess. You might be playing this on a printer back in 75. So that's a goldie oldie he ported there.
Yeah, the teachers loved you doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember doing that in the VAX and getting in trouble. Next up, he's got Penguino, which is a clone of Pango, which was really for the IBM PC with CJ, and that itself is a clone of the arcade game Pango. And we've got several versions of this on the CoCo. I've seen some on some of the tape magazines. There's also Pangon by Spectral, Ice Master by Arcade Animation Inc., and Where Else Mutants is kind of based on it from Atomic Software. So lots of them. But this one actually has done quite well, I think, for the MC10. Let's get past the screen here. So it kind of does like a maze generation thing for the initial screen. And you can destroy the ice blocks, and you pick up the diamonds, and you push the ice blocks to hit the faces things, whatever they're called. I'm sure most of you played Pango at some point or some version of it. In fact, I think we had Where Else Mutants on the Game on Challenge not too long ago. Did we, Ken, or am I thinking of something else?
He's gone to sleep.
Yeah, I think we did. I was just muted. I was talking.
I mean, it's a pretty good low-res version of Pengo, actually. Plays at a fairly decent clip. The next one here is a bit of more of a long play. So he did, excuse me. So the original Star Trek 3 by Lance Mikkelsen, originally Lance did have this as an official licensee from Paramount before Star Trek, the motion picture, took off, and then Wrath of Khan came out, and then they wanted a lot more left for licensing, so that basically Lance had to cancel that. So what Jim has done is he's ported that version of Star Trek 3, which is a little bit more primitive than the one we have in the CoCo 3.5. So this is based on the original Model 1.3 version from 1978. And this is back when Lance was known as the master of Trek, as they used to advertise it. So he basically did another port, and this will require at least the 20K, if not higher. I can't remember the exact details if it requires a 32K RAM upgrade, but at least the 20. And it is a fair bit of animated graphics. It actually shows like shots going back and forth. And he actually did a blog here, kind of going through some of the changes he did from the original version he did earlier, because he has ported this game before, but he wasn't too happy with how the graphics turned out. So he's kind of redid it so that the Enterprise looks a bit more like the Enterprise, and Klingons, he likes the shapes of those better here too. And then he did basically about an hour's worth of actual playthrough here on 3 separate videos, trying to actually win the game. And I won't play all of that there, but I'll play a little bit just so you can kind of get a feel for it. But he's got a whole description of what his latest changes to it are. That's the same menu you get on the CoCo 3.5 version too. Just the graphics are changed. Here's your long-range sensor scan. Short-range scan, which shows stuff like stars and planets. Here's when we actually are, seeing stuff like dock to the space station, etc. So you can find a little bit of animation here for some shooting.
This is the game that got me kicked out of the computer lab.
It's one of the more sophisticated Treks from this time, I have to say. It's kind of like the Super Star Trek, I think, was the base code for that. But it's a pretty decent one. If you're into Trek and you got an MC10, this is, from what I've seen, this is by far the best one. So I would highly recommend it. Okay, next up. There's a Italian magazine called Retro Magazine World. And they published an article on a game called The Water of Life, which is a basic Dragon 3264 graphics game, originally published by Abacus in November of '82, so early in the Dragon's release in the UK. And this is an original game. It wasn't ported from an American or Canadian or Australian one. It's an extended basic, so the ASCII source code, it should work on a 32K extended basic CoCo 1 and 2. I didn't see from a quick glance any machine language or ROM calls or something that might be specific. So if you actually pasted this in, you should be able to convert the game over. Now, the translation of the site from Italian, it was a bit strange. If I use the translation through Google Translate, because you can actually send a whole page and say, translate the whole page for me, it didn't work properly to show the listing. The listing would just show a blank. It was just black space. So this is the original Italian version of the actual article if you try to read the text here other than the screenshots. But you can get the actual listing that you can cut and paste out. So this is the English translation here. Kind of covers the story of the game itself, and it's got some good screenshots. You can see it's 4-color P mode 1 graphics, etc. Some text status screens, etc. But it looks like a pretty interesting game. And here you can see wipe the listing out. So I haven't had time to actually copy this over, but I would love it if somebody there actually would copy it over. If it's not already in the archive, I didn't get a chance to check. I don't believe it is. But that would be a good one to convert from the Dragon to the CoCo, because it's pure basic. It should be just save it in ASCII and reload it in ASCII, and you should be good to go. Or cut and paste the code.
The black one's the Mafia version.
Yeah. It looks like an interesting game, though. I'm kind of curious about this one. Next up, Ken, you want to talk about this one? I'll just mute it so you can talk away.
Oh, okay. Well,
I see you have a guest star too.
Absolutely. Because we played Lunar Rover Patrol the other week, and when I was testing out my Commodore 64s, I was playing a lot of Moon Patrol. I decided I would compare a couple of the versions of it that were out there.
Who's the C64 version we're looking at now?
That's the C64 version. So I thought I'd just see which version had the best port.
Those square wheels?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Approximately. Right?
It's be a pretty rough ride.
They're very grippy wheels for the lunar surface. And then I also did the Apple II version.
And when I saw this beginning, I was going, God, that's so, but it speeds up.
Yeah. So I had a lot of fun replaying the Apple II version from my childhood. I died a lot, which brought back a lot of memories of playing it as a child.
The funny thing is, I never even saw the Apple II version. This is not one of the games we had pirated. I mean, backed up at school.
I had backed this up at actually, oddly enough, my mom had a copy of it when she was a teacher. Don't know why.
Bouncing wheels and the whole bit. Looks like a pretty good port.
Yep. And then, of course, the CoCo version. Which
what was your criteria? You had a couple things you were kind of comparing against each other to kind of figure out a final.
Comparing the gameplay, the gameplay, the sound, and how close it is to the original version, the arcade version.
Yeah, because one thing you pointed out that I hadn't realized, like I said, I've never played the Apple II version before. I had seen the C64, is that they only have the mountain scene.
Yeah.
Like they don't alternate the
However, if you get far enough in the C64 version, you do get the hill, going up the hill with the rocks, which you don't get in the Apple II version.
Oh, okay.
Which was pointed out to me because but I never made it that far because the C64 version ramps up in difficulty very, very fast. And it wasn't until I was actually editing the video that I realized why it was so hard. Because when you jump over a crater, the ships above you can shoot at you while you're in the air, and the bullet will hit you before you land, so you can't get out of the way.
Okay. And here you're showing the pallet hack on a CoCo 3.
Yeah. So it's
I think that's how the arcade had it.
I don't remember it being that hard in the arcade.
I seem to recall
that you could you had the you could get shot, like you could get shot while you're jumping over a crater, and there's nothing you could do.
Yep. Yeah, you could on the arcade for sure.
But was it so fast that once you started jumping, they could shoot at you and hit you before you landed?
Oh, so you're already in the air.
So. I know. I haven't played the arcade game in a while.
Because that happened a lot on the Commodore 64 version. Every time I was jumping over a hole, I would get shot because as soon as I started jumping over the hole, they would just shoot at me and kill me before I landed, and there's nothing I could do about it. So it was an insta-death.
Okay, I'll have to try the arcade version again. I don't remember that, but no, I don't know if you want to reveal the winner or anything. You do have a bit of a bonus clip in the end. I thought I would cover.
Oh yeah, and that's interesting. Go to the bonus clip because this is a version that's not even listed as a clone, which I found interesting. And it does talk.
Rewind that. Yeah, the only version that talks. I had not seen this. Now, Nick, you were a TRS80 Model 1.3 guy back in the day. Did you ever see this version?
What's that one called? I'm not in front of the computer at the moment.
It's called Moon Rover. This is the TRS-80 Model 1 clone of Moon Patrol, Moon Rover. It does have the lowest graphics mode and is missing the front shot, so you only jump over holes and shoot stuff in the sky. But it is also the only version that talks. So enjoy.
There were about 3 versions on the Model 1 that I'm aware of.
But it's interesting that even like if you look up the listing and stuff, they don't list any Model 1 versions as even clones of the game.
Right.
So this isn't even considered a clone of Moon Patrol.
That seems a bit silly because you've got the aliens shooting at you. You've got the
mountains in the background, the holes. The only thing you're missing is the rocks because you don't shoot forward.
The thing is, you probably didn't want to say that it was a clone anyway. Back in those days, Might have been. You know.
Well, I mean, but if you actually look it up, they do have a listing of a number of things that are clones. Like a lot of systems released clones, and a lot of them are even less like Moon Patrol than this one. Like they actually listed what was the other one by the guy that did Lunar Rover Patrol? The sand buggy or
Desert Patrol or
Desert Patrol.
Yeah, Desert Patrol. Yeah, MG
so
Lustig. He did Moonhopper and Desert Patrol.
They listed that as a clone of Moon Patrol. Or yeah.
Now, did you want to reveal who wins, or do we want to let them go check out your video?
Well, out of those three, I had to disqualify the CoCo because it wasn't a port; it was a clone. So that means that the Apple II won. Because
that seems like silly criteria to me.
I was doing a
official port.
Yeah, I was looking at ports, and yeah.
See, the CoCo's almost never going to win because we almost didn't have any ports, especially until the CoCo 3 came out.
Well, it depends on if I'm doing a something of an actual port but I mean, we have a lot of games that weren't arcade games. Like I did the one where I looked at Seamus and Protector 2 and
if you're talking like computer only games, like not arcade.
That's usually what I do. It's just that I've been playing a lot of Moon Patrol lately, so
okay. I mean, from looking at the video, and I've never played. Well, I've played the Kilometer one like briefly back in the day, and I think didn't they have an updated one they did later that kind of fixed some of the issues?
Yeah, it's a lot easier than the original.
But didn't they fix some of the graphics and stuff too that was kind of wonky? I can't remember now.
I think so. I can't remember now, but yeah, I mean, basically the Commodore one. The reason that the Apple one won was because I didn't have a lot of fun playing the Commodore one because it was just die, because you couldn't get out of the way of the bullets. Every time you jumped over something, they'd shoot you and you died.
Yeah, that'd be a bit frustrating, I think. Anyway, go check it out. He does a pretty good comparison. He compares, like you mentioned before, the graphics, the sound, how close it is to the arcade game. And the Model 1.3 one there from Computer Shack was a bit of a surprise. I'd not seen that one before either myself. That's why I was wondering if Nick had seen it.
Yeah, I'm back at the computer now, so I don't know if you can pop it up again.
Too late.
Nick.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Well, Nick, you can just go look at my video.
Yeah, I'll look at the video.
It's actually, I played it for a while. It's a pretty fun game.
Well, I've got a comment from Kieran here for you, Ken. He says, sounds like you ignored rule 1 of playing games there, Ken, and he hasn't said what that rule is, so I'm still waiting.
What was rule 1 of playing
Read
games?
the manual.
I don't think that was what he was hinting at, but
I don't know what rule 1 is.
We'll have to wait. There's a bit of a delay here, so we'll have to see what
Isn't rule 1 have fun?
Well, I would figure.
Don't die, I thought it was.
That is what it is.
Oh, don't die.
Don't die, yeah.
Well, I wanted to die on the Apple version because that's my best memory of playing that game as a kid is the explosion, the wheels going flying everywhere.
How else are you going to demonstrate that graphic animation?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's part of the research, man. Hey.
Oh, it's fun when you don't die. Okay. But what about when you get into those situations where you have no choice but to die because the game is set up that way?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get yourself into a pickle and then you feel like I made a mistake, but sometimes it's the game is just has a hate on for you type thing. It's like all the previous versions of Neutroid.
That's right.
Okay, next up, Richard Kelly is released, and it's a little late here because he published this right before Halloween, and of course, Halloween was in between shows. But he did a disc image that he put up on the Facebook CoCo group that covers Halloween-themed games, both some of his own, some text adventures he's been working on, some others from T&D Software as well. Freddy and Vampire Castle are a couple of them. They actually require CoCo 3 because they're using, I think, the 40 column mode to fit more text on the screen. But anyway, it's a free download. It's called Halloween, HALLWEEN.DSK. And you can get that on the files section of the CoCo group on Facebook. I'm assuming at some point he'll upload it to the archive as well, so you can get it all in one shot. So thank you, Richard Kelly, for that. Next up is a couple I picked up from some stuff that Simon Hardy had helped this website. We covered this website, I think, last week or possibly the week before. And it's basically a website dedicated to games that were announced but never released, or got partly finished and never released. For some reason it was supposed to come out, but it actually didn't. And we covered one Dragon game previously. They added 3 more here thanks to research done by Simon Hardy, whom we've seen on several of our Dragon meetup shows and stuff. So the 3 here that are mentioned, there's the first one here by AcePack Software, and this is an early one. This actually had originally supposed to come out in 1982, I believe, called Drawcaster Australian Pools and Drawcaster British Pools, and I don't know too much more about it. It says here, both titles may have been published eventually by a different company, but more research is needed, proof to be found. I've not seen or heard of them anywhere else. I don't know too much about the games either. There's not too much of a description on that. I'm not even sure by looking at the title of the 2 games, aside from the nationality, like that doesn't tell me what the game's actually about. Is that like a pool table game or swimming, or who knows? So that one, there's not too many details. The other 2 that were added in do have some details. So one was called Eager Edna. This was originally by Cable Software in 1985. And this one actually got far enough to actually being demoed and also written up in Dragon User Magazine. So this one definitely got further along. It wasn't completely vaporware like a promise that never happened. This was a multi-screen game for the Dragon 32 written in machine language in late 1984. It had a new snippet in Dragon User in December of, I got 1874 in my notes. That's funny. 1984 should be. And it was shown off at one of the 6809 shows in the UK, and then it was canceled due to, quote, technical issues, quote, whatever the heck that's supposed to mean. I mean, if they demoed it, what technical issues did you possibly have? Unless the game... Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know about that, Nick, because you don't have bugs.
No. So I'd be interested to see it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the clickable links here, you can't see anything on the screen there. It's just a mess. And there's a little bit of a new release thing there. And then the final cancellation notice. And it mentions in this particular notice that 2 other games that were announced by the same company did come out. So out of the 3, this is the only one that didn't make it, but canceled due to technical problems. That's kind of copping out, I would think. And the last one is a later one, 1987 from QuickBeam Software, which actually did a couple of really good games back in the day. And this was supposed to be a clone of Iridium from the Commodore 64, which apparently is a really good game. I've not played that one, C64. Has anybody on the panel played that one before or knows too much about it?
Iridium by Houston Consultants is a fantastic game on the Commodore 64.
I haven't played it in years, but it was very cool.
It's really good music. It's a flying game. You scroll back and forth, left and right over these different platforms where you've got all these different little missiles that can come out, and you've got to blow up all these little targets that are on there. And the whole game is themed around different elemental metals. So you've got coppers and iridiums and things like that. But yeah, it would have been fantastic to see something like that. And it's kind of sad because Houston did some games for the Dragon. That could have been one that they could have brought over.
Yeah. Well, from right up here, and for the people that are on audio listening to us here, I'll just read a kind of my summary version, not the full description here. But basically, it was announced in QuickBeam Software's catalog in March of 1987, and it may have been shown at a 609 event in 1988. I don't know if Karen or anybody else here that was in the UK at the time that might have attended these shows might remember seeing it. So apparently, it actually had gotten started. Reportedly canceled due to the shrinking market for the Dragon. I mean, if you're coming out in 88, I mean, that makes sense because the Dragon had been canceled, years earlier. So there wouldn't have been much of a market left at that point. And the original developer that was doing the port, Dave Gibbons, decided to work on 16-bit platforms instead. And I think he ended up with the Amiga and the ST at that point, if I remember correctly. I do get some stuff in the chat here. So that talking about the pools thing, that is basically betting on the outcomes of football, soccer games. So that would have been Australian betting and the UK betting, I guess.
Yeah.
Karen says Iridium, by Andrew Braybrook. You know where he got his start? Dragon programming. So that really should have worked out well. And like I said, it was demoed, so obviously it got pretty far along. And Karen says, nope, only went to one show back then. Don't remember anything like Iridium. So probably you went to a different year, unfortunately. Because it'd be cool to see how, like, if people remembered how far along it had got on that port. But I mean, this is the type of stuff. And anybody's been watching our Discord, I've been doing, further research on games that came out in mid '83 now. And I found a few other games announcements that have come out, and I posted some actual full color, full page advertisements for them that were announced for the CoCo that never came out at all. Synapse Software, like Picnic Paranoia, as far as I know, that we advertised that in every CoCo magazine. That was in Color Computer Magazine, Rainbow, Hot CoCo, full color ads, like they went all out, and they announced 3 games at the time: Protector 2, Seamus, before Tandy picked it up a year later, and Picnic Paranoia. And as far as I know, Picnic Paranoia, I don't believe ever came out. I've never seen a review of it in any CoCo magazine. I've never seen the disc image. I have seen the other 2 lots. But they did a full page ad in Creative Computing for 2 other games that were supposed to come out for the CoCo. Neuromancer was one. I can't remember the name off the one top of my head. You can take a look at the picture in the Discord. But once again, it was announced for a multitude of machines, including the Radio Shack color computer, and that never saw the light of day either. So we have some of this same stuff too. So I might have to collect a few of these around that I know never came out and send them up to this site as well. We've also got a whole bunch of games that we don't have copies from the archive, but I have seen reviews, so I know they did exist. And there's others that could have never been released, but maybe got advertised for like 6 months straight, because I've seen a few of those, or they're not on the archive either. Or they just could have went missing. Maybe they didn't sell that well, and the person that, the few people that did buy them were not nasty pirates like the rest of us and just never uploaded them everywhere. It's sad that, I would have encouraged piracy at this point. And the last game on news one, we're going through August of 1982 in Chronologically Gaming, and he's gone through all the early in the month releases. Now he's starting back at the A's for the ones that came out at different times or later on in the month. And then he did his first CoCo one for this month, and it's Across the Rubicon by Arc Royal Games, which is a wartime strategy. Low res, it's done with semi-graphics type stuff. Now, his game is more geared towards, I would say, more arcadey style games in general, because a lot of these games, like simulations and war games and stuff, take so long to play. It's hard to give a really good feel for it in a 1 or 2 minute snippet. But this one is pretty primitive, even by standards then, because some of the Apple II ones and stuff at this point in mid '82 were doing like full high-res graphics and things. But this is one of the earliest games that Arc Royal put out, and they later did put out some high-res stuff, so this was kind of their start. And Phil Keller did a lot of their games, so he was really into war games, did a lot of stuff. So anyway, if you want to check out a little bit of that one, including some live action gameplay and some of the setup and stuff that's required to play it, like there's so much stuff you have to memorize. The manual's like 30 pages long, and it's if you're into involved war games, or if you were into the original word-based war games from companies like Avalon Hill before they started getting computer games, I mean, you probably like this kind of stuff. That's the end of the game on news. So
in the chat, Mark Siegel's mentioning Seamus came through the education group at Radio Shack.
Why the education group? What's educational about Seamus? Educate me, Mark. I don't understand.
It's an education on how to make a good game.
Okay. Ready for the regular news?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see the fire.
Light that
The thing that everyone's been waiting for all show.
When you want the latest in TRS80, Tandy, Dragon, MC10, and all of their hardware cousins. No matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world to your nation. The CoCo Nation News with L Curtis Boyle.
Your announcement, Mark. I'm on.
All right, you're on.
Okay, so CoCo Tech announcements I'm going to let Mark do, because I haven't had a chance to keep track of the schedule here lately. So I'll let him do that first. Then I've got a couple things I want to catch up from last week, because they aren't active web pages that I can display. I downloaded some stuff locally to show, so there's a couple things I got to show there too. So, Mark, do you want to go through the announcements of CoCoTech events already scheduled, which we're up to, what, 4 now, I think?
Yes, I have 4 on the calendar. And by the way, we do have a calendar that is on our the CoCo Nation page. It's listed as calendar schedule, I think. Show calendar, actually, is what it's called. And it now is in a calendar format, and you can see. So coming up this coming Tuesday, I'm going to have Paul Fiscarelli and Paul Thayer talk about Paul Fiscarelli's CoCo Sprite Compiler, or Pixies for those of you who are, in this century. Anyway, I know a little bit about it.
For those like reinventing the wheel.
I know.
Go ahead.
I know. Anyway, yes, I know. Anyway, I have to throw it in there, otherwise I'll get hate mail. Anyway, I know a little bit about it, and I've seen some stuff done with it. Looks pretty cool, and hopefully this will be a foundation for maybe a tutorial for people getting started with it. I know he doesn't have at the moment like a general distribution for it, but I'll talk with him about doing something like that for people that might want to try it out. And then coming up on the week after that, I will have Mikey Furman and Boise Pete, who are going to be talking about the history of DriveWire. And I'm hoping to get, a nice background history and all the stuff. Some of it we've talked about previously, but it'll be nice to know a little bit more about it. And I have a few things I'd be interested in knowing about. And then the week after that is going to be, and the week after that's going to be, that's going to be the G-Shell one with Curtis Boyle and Rick Euland. So that's basically the 7th, the 14th, and the 21st, all Tuesday evenings. Sorry, it's inconvenient for Europeans, but you'll be able to watch it in replays. And then 2 weeks after Curtis and Rick is going to be another one on Grease Weasel and Floppies with David Ladd and Paul Fiscarelli.
I think I'm washing my hair that day.
That'd be fine.
Ooh.
Anyway, so
far they're all on Tuesdays, so that's just coincidence. I mean, that's not a mandatory thing.
It's just where it kind of falls in the week. It kind of splits up between the Game On Challenge and what we're doing on Saturdays, like right now. And if it comes down to it, doing something for like a Dragon thing, I could see doing it maybe on a early Saturday morning for me, which would be afternoon for Europe, or a Sunday. So that'd be a possibility too. So it's not written in stone. It's just where it's kind of falling at the moment.
Yeah, because I could definitely see like a Sunday, especially for some people that actually work evenings. Like if we ever wanted to have Jeff Deek into something, he works evenings and weekdays. He'd never make it on a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would love to have him on talking about all of this DCC compiler stuff at some point too, because there's so much happening there. I've just totally lost track. Okay, thank you, Mark, and keep suggestions coming in for people that want to us to cover a certain topic on CoCoTech. Send the suggestions in. People that want to present, send the suggestions in. Mark's the go-to guy on that. So contact him directly on Discord or through email, and all bookings will be done through him.
And that was a suggestion there about Deke and DCC. So you can add that to the
I haven't talked to Deke about that yet, so I mean we'll have to let Jeff decide. I don't know if he's much into public presentations either, so we'll have to see if he's okay with that. If not, maybe we can get him to do a seminar at CoCoFEST or the Virtual Fest. Actually, you want to mention that, Mark, because you're kind of...
Yeah, that's still being thrown together. I attended the Glenside meeting this last Thursday. Terry Steege was also there. Both Terry and I, and Grant Leedy was sick, so he didn't show up. But both of us are on the panel, basically, advisory panel, management panel for the CoCo Nation. And I know this had been pitched, I guess, in September, and Terry had brought it to us, or Grant did, I don't remember who. And it's like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to do a virtual fest. Jim Brain, El Presidente, was thinking that basically he liked the virtual fest that we did in 2020. And he also enjoyed like showing off his workspace and stuff that you can't easily bring to a CoCoFEST. And of course, there's people that can't travel for various reasons. And so he thought it might be a good idea to have some sort of virtual fest that would be done maybe about January as kind of a promotional for the actual CoCoFEST in May this year. And of course, other events like VCF Midwest and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm willing to run with it. I mean, it's basically what I'm doing with CoCoTech, just finding people, scheduling it, and then setting up time to stream it. So I left it in his court. He's going to post basically some polls on Facebook. So we can figure out what weekend in January people would be most likely to be able to be available. And then we'll probably be looking at time slots One idea I've had, I haven't floated around too much, is maybe if we did it like on a Saturday, being that we do have a lot of people in Europe, maybe do a really early, for me, I'm talking like, 6 or 7 a.m., which would be about 1 p.m., 2 p.m. in England. Maybe have like an early slot for a few hours, 3-4 hours, and then maybe do CoCo talk, regular, CoCo Nation, and then do another one in the afternoon for kind of the more this area. So it'd be kind of throughout the day, kind of break it up. So haven't pitched that yet, though. We're still trying to find out what day might work best. So right now, I guess all weekends in January are up as a possibility. Please vote to say which weekends you could make it or not make it, so we can figure out where we can get the most amount of people.
Okay. Now, is Mark mostly going to have to be the one in charge of streaming all that, or is he going to get a break too? Because that's a pretty long day for him if he's got to do all that.
I'm pretty much
bed's right here.
I'm
just roll over.
I'm pretty much the streaming already. I haven't tried it at 1080p yet, but I should be able to do the streaming myself. So and me just scheduling people and then getting them on at the right time is about all I need to do. So I could sit here and babysit that for the day.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I look forward to that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a presentation because I'll probably save up whatever I'm planning on doing for the actual fest, because we will either stream or record those, preferably record, because streaming didn't work too well last time.
Jim wanted to preferentiate people who wouldn't be able to make it to CoCoFEST at all. People from Europe, people from Australia, that sort of stuff. So you'd be at the bottom of the list if you even got a chance at it.
Yeah, like Wayne Campbell could cover some his decom, because he's actually progressing pretty well on that. That'd be a good one, because he won't be able to make it to the fest either, so that'd be a good one. I might even co-host with that one.
That would be no problem at all.
Or that could be a Coco Tech episode. That's the problem I'm having right now, is that some of the stuff could fall under either or, and like, where do I want to put it?
Exactly. So, and it's like I said, for me, it's more the same. I just have to schedule more people and pick a date. So it's no different for me. So that's why I'm more than willing to take the ball and run with this, so to speak. Hey, that metaphor works in soccer as well as football. I mean, football.
And football even.
And even football and rugby. Okay, back to you, Curtis.
Okay, so I'm going to share my entire desktop because I got two things side by side to show here. So this is one of the ones I missed last week. So it was announced in, I think, both Discord and in the CoCo mailing list that some of the original authors of the newsletter, originally called TRS80 Computing, which you can see on the left, and then it eventually became Color Computing the last year, I think it was published. And this was done by a couple of students in school. And I'm not talking college here, I'm just talking regular school. So they were quite young. I think it was like grade 8 they started this. And it was just kind of a little school project. Sorry?
That sounds right. 8th grade.
Yeah. So it was basically two guys. It was Joe Ahern, I'm hoping I pronounced that right, and David McNally. And they've kind of rejoined the CoCo community. Now, some of these had been scanned and up on the archive, but they actually finished the collection. So every single issue, including an unreleased one, unfinished as well, from February of 92, which would have been the last one that went out. It didn't actually go out to anybody. So the one I'm showing you on the left here is the very first edition they ever did in June of 87. The one on the right is the last officially released one. In October of 91, you can see, quite a few things have changed as far as it's going. But this is a little school project. It was basically for relatives themselves and some teachers. And then eventually they took out some ads in like Computer Shopper, and they actually ended up with, over 100 subscribers at one point. So actually it went pretty well. And they were publishing it, I think, monthly at the very beginning. They kind of went bi-monthly because that was a lot of work. And it got up to being like 30 pages, I think, an issue or something like that, and programming and stuff. They did try to do some experimentation with covering other machines, and then they kind of went back to the CoCo type thing. So the TRS80 Computing is a little bit misleading because, they were covering basically just the CoCo. They weren't doing model 1, 3, 4, 12, 16, etc. But I thought I'd show some of these here. So all of them are available in the archive if you want to get it. It's actually got a separate section in the magazine section if you pull down the archives menu.
I like the rust left over from the paperclip on the left there.
Right. Well, and you can see the art is still taped on. This is actually the original copy, or actually the original possibly, because isn't that the tape?
Yeah, like you can see the tape marks here where they taped the pieces, and when you were to Xerox, that would have pretty well disappeared, right?
Right.
And I don't know if they had an access to a color copier, because if you don't, probably didn't need to do the little hat thing in color, but.
That's funny. That's cool.
Well, back then, color copiers would have been really expensive and hard to get.
Yep. I remember we used that for a couple of times. We're going to use that in our newsletter. And we kind of took a look at the cost, but nope.
Nope.
Black and white it is. So I was looking at through the very first issue here. They kind of go through, and it was kind of amusing. They're grade 8s. They didn't really know this full history and stuff. So they had a few things a little bit wrong, but basically, at that age, I didn't know much either. And then they definitely learned as they went. They were starting getting into alternate languages and all kinds of stuff, semi-language programming and everything else. So in the span of 4 years, they do their own little ads here, where they just cut pieces out of the actual Tandy catalogs and stuff and put it up. They really went all out. I mean, for grade 8, this is pretty impressive to do all this. It's a bit more color. This month's program is Carnival Rider, the game by one of the two principals. They actually got some other people helping out in later issues as well. There's the actual listing you type in, and then some simpler beginner stuff where they're just showing you how sound works.
The color markers actually make sense. You can't color grayscale.
True.
But the copier will make a green marker into our grayscale for you. So, yeah.
Updated OS 9, so that they immediately appealed themselves to me once they mentioned OS 9 here, so that was awesome.
Yeah, OS
9. Here's a little, written in orange marker, an order form to get more issues, etc. I have to give these guys credit here. I mean, when we did our newsletter, I think Dwayne, who was our first newsletter editor, he would have been in grade 10 or 11, I think 11. And he ended up being an English major. So, I mean, he was kind of prime for this. But for grade 8, this is impressive. So that's their first official issue. And then on the other side here, is my Zoom overlay showing up on your stream, or are you guys just seeing the actual magazine?
No, we're everything.
Okay, good. Because it's actually blocking part of it here, but I can just scroll through it. So this is the final issue they actually released officially up until they came back and they released the unfinished February 92 one. So you can see they changed the name to Color Computing. That only happened the last year. They were called TRS80 Computing up until that point. And here they're going back, like looking through color logo and simulating commands, customizing multi-view. So they're getting more into the OS 9 stuff too. And then they have, some programming stuff here, including stuff by people that are not the two of the founders here, like Jim Dees wrote this article. Reviews, they started reviewing stuff like Crystal City and CoCo Labels. Much more professionally typeset on some of the stuff they did here. Apologies for being late. Basically, what ended up happening is that they got busy, like they were graduating high school and basically getting into college, and they just figured we don't have the time to do this anymore. So that's the reason it basically folded. It was basically their high school project for the entirety of high school. And here, like, you're announcing new CoCo products from Sundog, like Warmonger, Graphic Express, Photon, new version of Fourth, Arcade Pack, 68K products for OS 9 68K, disk utility for reading the disk raw with the source code listing for that. And then they end up doing their own software company. And they actually said in the final issue that even though the magazine was stopping, they would still fulfill any orders. And if anybody ordered stuff, they would still make, the software, because that takes a lot of time than putting together a magazine. Roaming Ghost, there's another one we could have used for Halloween. They did their own cartoons. There's a bit on color logo. Simulating commands. Customizing multi-view by another author. They actually got a few other people that are well known in the CoCo community to write some articles for them. I think Bob Vanderpool ended up writing some articles. And of course, he's the author of like VED and a whole bunch of OS 9 commercial software, and he did some other stuff for Disk Basic before that. So he was involved in the community for years before they started this, and he ended up writing for them. He's a fellow Canuck, actually. They started taking on commercials from actual paid advertisements from some of the people that were in the CoCo community from between 87 and 91. Doing advanced topics, definable functions, etc. in BASIC. Telecommunication, contacting BBSs, etc. Pre-internet. Back issues, you can order back.
I have back issues.
Did you have a subscription to this, Bob?
No, just my own back.
Yeah, just back issues.
At this age, I think all of us have back issues of some type.
I might actually have issues of that in my stack back there. Actually, I've got a bunch of old stuff.
Semi-language course from Derek Snyder. This previous one on OS9 Multiview was actually from Bob Vanderpool.
I never heard of this. I wish I would have known it existed at the time.
It got quite sophisticated, didn't it?
Yeah. Color Systems, that's Zach Sessions' company, so he obviously knew about it and submitted ads.
That couple of stories back looked good enough to actually have been in a Rainbow magazine.
Yeah, well, they were getting some of the people that were writing articles for Rainbow,
Well, like
writing
the
for this
typeset and
as
the
well.
layout.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
they definitely got better and bigger too. I mean, if the original one was like 15 pages and this is 35, so it's a decent little size too. So I'm glad they came back in the community to share all this stuff with it. We're actually arranging for getting them on for an interview on the show. Hopefully, both of them at the same time. So if you have any questions, first of all, go to the Color Computer Archive. The entire run of this magazine is on there if you want to go through them all.
Cool.
And then if you have any questions for the original people that founded and authored most of the articles, have them ready when we do get this interview. No date's been set yet, but it'll be on the regular CoCo Nation show. And we'll keep you posted on that. And I got one other one from last week to share. And we'll see what my sharing does, if it's going to share the whole screen or work properly this time.
Password list.
Hey, it shared just the window this time. Awesome. Okay, so this came over from the Amigos Discord by the author of this particular article, Retro Radar column, Iain Lee. And the CoCo was not well known in the UK, and this is a UK magazine called Retro Gamer. And this is a physical magazine. This is not an electronic one. This is, you can see on the top, you can see the folding of the pages, etc. Right? You can see some of the commercial here on the other side. The CoCo was not that well known. The Dragon is probably much more well known. The CoCo, because of import tariffs and everything else, was quite expensive. There wasn't a lot of Tandy stores in the UK. There were some, but it never came close to selling as much as the Dragon did. So it wasn't that well known a machine. And Ian kind of, from watching the CoCo show with Boat and Aaron, of course, got kind of interested in it and ended up getting one. And he's quite liking it because, of course, we had a lot of stuff the Dragon didn't have and vice versa. So it's almost like complementary worlds, but a little bit different. So he wrote this article to say that he wanted to get more interested and then start getting more into the CoCo and finding out what all it had to offer over the years, etc. And I thought that was really good because this is a general retro gaming, a retro computer magazine that covers everything from Sinclair's to Commodore to TI to Apple to, well, everything. Sam Coupes, whatever it happens to be. And he wrote a really nice little article here, mostly talking about the CoCo show itself and then also the CoCo in general. So I actually asked him, I said, would you like us to plug this article on the magazine? Because he's going to make this a column by the sounds of it. On our show, and he said, yes, please do. So Ian, here you go. Here's your plug, and I'm looking forward to reading your further articles on CoCo software and CoCo hardware and the whole CoCo scene. And now I'll switch over to the regular stuff, assuming Zoom behaves. Just a single, you're not seeing my whole desktop again?
Yep, that's fine.
It's good.
Cool. I have no idea what was going on the first time because that's the exact same thing I was clicking, just a single window. Okay. So first one up, Bob, since you're actually on the call, I'm presuming still, and this is your video.
I'm here.
Yeah. So I'll just start playing the background. You kind of want to explain what this is because it's kind of a comparison video, I believe.
Yeah, basically just taking a look at alternative recording devices to replace a cassette deck that most people don't necessarily have or want to buy. I guess it's been asked pretty regular whether MP3 recorders can be used. Some people seem to think that they can't, but I've had no problem with most of them. Well, generally a higher quality MP3 recorder works fine. The cheap voice recorders, even if they have a mic input, there's issues. It's not going to be a plug and play.
Now, along that line, I wanted to ask you a question here because you had mentioned in your video here, what kind of a cassette recorder are you using there, first of all, for the physical cassette recorder you tried as a base?
That is my old GE. It's literally a branded computer data recorder.
Because I'd been doing some reading on other things, and they mentioned like the CTR 51 or the CCR 81. I can't remember which one they were mentioning, but one of the Tandy ones supposedly is one of the best cassette recorders for loading computer tapes on every platform. Like they tried it on Commodores and Ataris, and it works better than most others. So I'm wondering if, in your case, maybe the cassette recorder, you mentioned you had so many IO errors trying to load stuff in that maybe the recorder itself might have been part of the problem.
Really, mainly that one particular tape has gone bad.
Oh, okay.
I also went through the Mickey Mouse Space Adventure, and I did almost a full playthrough of it, but I didn't put that in this video, just a few snippets of it to demonstrate how
The multimedia part.
Yeah, and that's basically, I was pointing out in this video that the SVI CAS is like almost perfect, but the fact that it won't do any integrated audio is pretty much its main weakness. And that Zoom audio recorder there is the first thing that I found that worked pretty much out of the box. I was able to plug in my cassette cable and save to it and record from it after, getting the levels adjusted right.
Yeah, Zoom recorders rock.
Unfortunately, it was quite expensive. I remember this was the one that was.
That thing's like 180, $200. And then this Tascam recorder, I could use it to play, to load programs from. But again, just like the Zoom H4n, neither of these will recognize the WAV files on the archive. I have to convert them to MP3s, and then they work.
Now, what format are the archive ones? Are they WAVs or what?
They're WAV files, but they're generated by a tool, not by actual recordings. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on with them, why they don't work, but whenever I put them in the device, it tells me invalid file.
Yeah.
But it records its own WAV files just fine. I can save in a WAV format, and they work fine. So,
An SVI CAS, that's
SVI CAS. That one is actually Alex Scayers from the list. He was having trouble saving to it, and he sent it to me, and that was basically where I figured out to put a resistor across the speaker, the CAS out line, basically. And I just put it inside the factory cassette cable from CAS out to ground. I think it's pin 3 and 4.
And that's the one we figured might fix the network 2 controller issues too, right? On the CoCo 3 and 2.
It's possible. It's an easy enough thing to test.
Yeah. And this is the multimedia part where it displays graphics and then it's playing audio in the background, and then it loads the next chunk of the program. And
I accidentally had the cassette audio left on for this, but I decided to leave that in the video for demonstration purposes.
Yeah. Yeah, we've demoed or not we, but we found a guy that kind of went through all the audio multimedia type stuff that Tandy put out, because there's multiple programs they did like this, like one with Clyde Tombaugh, who discovered Pluto, actually talking about his discovery of Pluto with pictures in the background. So there's a channel on YouTube that did there's Spanish lessons and all kinds of stuff that's on there. It was all multimedia CoCo stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't play it again here, but no, this one I think I've heard of, but I didn't know anything about it. The lemonade loader.
Lemonade loader. I didn't really know anything about it either. That's something that I acquired in a bulk CoCo lot that I got down near Austin, like back in the 90s. And I had never used it. It says it's for the Model 1.
Now, is this something that's still available these days, or is that you'd have to go find it on eBay?
Yeah, I don't think you could find one if you had to. Probably have better luck finding one of Nick's video digitizers.
Yeah, Then you did a full playthrough of Taxi.
Yeah, full playthrough of Taxi. That was exciting. I do fast forward through a lot of it.
Yeah, I actually played this one a little bit too when I was doing research for the webpage and stuff. But
it's a little bit of fun.
And then you have a cheap voice recorder here. So this is an MP3 recorder, I presume?
It's like a little $10 MP3 voice recorder. And it has a microphone in and a headphone out. So that's basically what I was looking for in a voice recorder.
Now, on all of these, like obviously you tested the loading because you were actually loading programs to test them. Did you test the recording? Like, does that work fairly well too and load back in fine?
The main criteria that I was trying to see if it would work is whether I could save to it and load what I had saved.
Okay.
So on the Zoom audio recorder, I was able to do that with no modifications to anything. With the Tascam recorder and with the SVI CAS, I had to have that resistor on the CAS outline, and then they recorded reliably. On the cheap little MP3 recorder, I have not been able to successfully save to it. And I haven't really even tried putting a file on it to load from it, but I suppose at that point, you're probably just going to use your phone to play files out.
Add a data point. If you come up with a Zoom H2N, which are also available used and they're older, so you might get one cheaper. They're rock solid also. It's perfect both ways. So
now, is that the same Zoom that does like guitar pedals and stuff too?
No, this is just a little
knowing the company, is it the same Zoom that does guitar
the same
pedals?
Zoom company. Yeah, Zoom is a good company overall. That's why their stuff costs money. But yeah,
it's a pretty solid little recorder.
Stay to that level of equipment, and MP3 is fine. I guess Bob's proven that voice recorders, your mileage may vary.
So anyway, for those people that want to, have some old cassettes they want to recover programs from back in the day, or if you have some of the multimedia stuff that requires cassette, these would be good solutions to go through your reviews of them. Like you kind of list, which ones are really expensive, which ones are nice and affordable.
One thing you can do with a recorder like this is take your crappy old tape, record it, stick it in Audacity, and fix it. So if you really want to recover a lot of old data,
it's almost like a grease weasel for cassette.
Exactly. This would be your primary interface, and then you can fix the file now that you've gotten it.
I just saw a gleam in David Ladd's eye. He might have to do a secondary follow-up with
he's got to do cassettes now too.
Tape grease weasel equivalents. And then last, I'll play a little bit of this here before we come out of your segment. But you want to see the full reviews and the full, kind of going through which ones needed a little bit of the mod to get it to work properly, et cetera, in case you have some of these things lying around. Definitely go check out Bob's YouTube page, CoCo Strangiato, named after Rush, of course, one of their songs. But you have this game that you quite like and have liked since you were young, I understand.
Yeah, that was one that I typed in out of Hot Coco, Elmer's Arcade. He would put in these nice, short, little, simple programs, mostly puzzle type programs. This was more of an arcade style that, I don't know, it just stuck to me almost as much as the game Slither.
Is it more of a game that stuck to you even more than, say, Neutroid Reloaded?
No. Neutroid Reloaded this. The original Neutroid, I'm not sure.
This is definitely easier to understand than the original Neutroid.
Yeah. And this would be fun to do with some of the modern basic things with, like sprites or pixies, whatever you want to, and better sound. But I actually ported this game into a database program on PC, Alpha 5 database. And just they integrated a timer function into their basic called XBasic. And I used that to create basically 512 virtual boxes and change the colors of them to simulate the screen animation. But
cool. I not too often I hear of a game being written in a database.
yeah, it actually gained. I posted it on that Alpha 5 user forum, and somebody picked it up and put it in a book. It's been published. And then, of course, they changed the timer function so that it didn't work anymore.
Yeah, backwards compatibility is probably not that big of a deal on them.
No.
Anyway, definitely go check out Bob's video on his CoCo Strangiato page on YouTube. It's a little over half an hour, does a full depth review of multiple options that he tried, and what mods he needed, if any, to get it to work, and which ones just don't work that well at all. And a couple of bonus gameplay things with Taxi, which is a multimedia style game. And what's the name of this game from Elder's Arcade again?
Dang it.
Dang it. I've not played that one. I'm going to try it sometime.
And it's one of those games where your scores are in the single to double digits. I think my highest score ever is maybe 35.
There you go, Ken. You might have to put this one on the a bit of a different version of Game On, where you have some basic games being ran. Next up, I won't play this video because it's almost half an hour too. TRS80 Retroprogramming on YouTube put up a video that he's working on a geometric graphing tool, which is using the actual proper Cartesian coordinates where you have negatives and positive values, unlike how BASIC itself does it, which starts with basically 0, 0 in the upper left corner. Here you have it centered on the screen, so you can actually see, in all 4 quadrants, and does some manipulation of stuff there, figuring it out. So if you want to check that out, please check out his channel as well. CoCo Town. He's doing part 5 of his Game Revolutions. Now, there's going to be a bit of a pause after this one, as he reveals at the end of the video. So he's been going through various things that are trying to resurrect his Moon Patrol clone that he started as a teenager, never finished. So he's added double buffering, etc., to smooth out some tearing and stuff he had. He did stack blasting, and he went all out on the stack blasting on the previous episode. And on this particular one, he does self-modifying code to do checks and stuff and get out faster. Something Nick is very familiar with, as are Paul Thayer and Paul Fiscarelli and a bunch of others that do that too. Steve Bjork is also very familiar with it, though he hates it. I'll play a little bit of the intro here because it's kind of a funnier intro than he normally has done, and they're normally pretty witty to begin with. And then I'll play a little bit of the outro so you can kind of see what he's up against now. So he's going to have some videos not related to this game for a little bit as he starts researching a different issue.
Hello, and welcome to the series where I do stuff to a thing. In the past couple episodes, I talked about how I use stack blasting to win back some of the speed that I lost when I moved to off-screen buffering. But there's one other thing that I did that I didn't talk about, and that is self-modifying code. Today we're going to talk about what I did and how I did it, and most importantly, why would anyone...
That sounds like something Steve Bjork would say. Why would anyone? And then he goes into the MAME debugger trying to figure out, because he thinks he's still seeing some tearing. And I can't remember exactly where he talks about.
Yeah, so it tells you the X location and the Y location. I'm expecting the Y location to be at the bottom of the frame every time. Keep your eye on beam Y as I advance to the next frame. It's all over the place. What's going on? Maybe I'm not really even looking at reality. How do I know what I'm seeing? Am I really seeing tearing, or am I just seeing an artifact of some bug in MAME? Well, as it turns out, there is a bug in MAME, and I've been spending a lot of time recently looking into the MAME source code and seeing if I can fix it. So I'm going to be taking a break from this series, and instead you can expect to see some videos that talk about other things like MAME and this bug and what the heck's going on, because I need this fixed before I can continue with my game. Hello.
Oops. So anyway, that's kind of intriguing. I haven't talked to him about what the bug in MAME in particular is. I'm guessing it has something to do with the timing of the VSync or the timing of the raster beam and where it's actually doing the display. Has anybody encountered something like that in MAME before?
I don't know what a bug is.
It's called the original 3 versions of Neutroid. Okay, anyway, well, I'll keep you posted on that because I'm kind of interested in that too. Because I mean, I usually use MAME for debugging or for figuring out, other people's programs if I'm trying to patch them, etc., or to, add 609 code, figure out what parts are getting hit the hardest, so I know which place would get the best bang for buck. But I'm looking forward to seeing what he discovers in MAME, and maybe we'll get some fixes out of it too, since we have some active MAME developers like Tim Linder in our group as well. So keep your eyes posted for that. Next up, DragonPi emulator. Has anybody else heard of this before? I don't recall if I've heard of it before. I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yep.
But go ahead.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty interesting project, and it's wrapped around a 6809 emulator in Python that, yeah.
Okay. Because from reading it, he just made a new release literally yesterday, 0.9.1. And this emulates the Dragon 3264, the CoCo 1, the CoCo 2, and the CoCo 2B. It's written entirely in Python, and now it's been, I don't know if it was this particular version where this started or maybe a couple of versions back, but basically it requires Python 3 or higher. It no longer works under that. Or PyPy, which I'm not even sure what that is. Do you know what that is, Alan?
Yeah, it's the Python package installer, PyPy.
Okay.
There's also a faster version of the Python engine that you can run on. So Python by itself is written in C and is called CPython is the reference implementation. But there is also a Python in Python, PyPy, which has a just-in-time engine in it that can speed up parts of your Python code that you run over and over again.
Okay. Sort of like an adaptive compilation where it figures out, I'm in a loop. I'm going to stay in native converted instructions.
Yeah. And it caches what it's figured out as an optimization, and then it runs through the cached version rather than a slower version from before.
Okay. He also mentions that this is not meant to be a second XOR, but more for his learning of how things work, etc. Currently, he said the current versions run the CoCos and Dragons in text mode, as well as single board computer ROMs like the SPC09, the Simple 609, and the Multicom 609. And it also includes a rudimentary basic editor that you can access too. So he has a little demo here. So here's your actual Python emulator, and here's a little basic editor where you can type in your code and actually have it jam it right into the emulator's memory. So you get like full editing keys and cursor control, cut and paste, all that kind of stuff there, which is sorely missing in the extended basic. He's basically said that the current Vectrix emulation he's got is completely not usable, so don't do that. A little bit in the basic editor. Now, have you done much playing with this, Alan, or are you're just aware of the project?
No, I've messed with it on and off. Looked at how it was doing the 6809 internally and things like that.
Yeah, because he said he based it on, I have to remember who wrote the 6809 bit.
Oh, it's Cavnex 6809.
Yeah, but he had the author's name in here at some point. Maybe it was on a different subpage. I can't remember. But he actually listed the guy. I was going to try to give the guy a shout out. Grant something or other. It might not be in this page. Anyway, the latest version, just like I said, got released literally yesterday. 0.9.1. You can get it from the show notes on our Discord if you want to get the direct link to it and go download it and give it a shot. And because it's in Python, it's obviously cross-platform. It'll run on Linux. It'll run on Windows, etc. Next up, Digikey things. There's another kind of a hardware project here. So this is the Minimalist Euro Card Buss, MECB. Some 6809 basic fun is the title here. This came out the day before Halloween. So he's basically got a single board 6809 piece of hardware he's written, and then he's done some previous porting of stuff like Pascal and stuff to try it out. In this case, he wanted to do some 6809, basic on this thing. And he admits in the article itself, he's not a big fan of basic. But he started asking around, like, what would be a good basic interpreter to put on 609? And some people suggested one that's quite familiar to us. He was talking about doing his Pascal port originally. Extended basic. And, that's what I'm thinking of. Grant Serial Minimal Computer Design, and suggest that the extended basic would be a good one. Of course, that was the basis for GWiz Basic from Microsoft for the IBM PC. So it is a good one. It's one of the more advanced ones. So that's what he decided to use as his base. And He's actually got that available for you to take a look at. And he's got a whole blog here listing everything in here. And a very extensive article anyway, but he's basically got it running. I'll play a little bit of this video here.
Hello again from Digicool Things. As I now have a modular system with a flexible
How's that
memory
volume-wise?
I thought it would be fun to mimic another simple 689 system and to also get a BASIC interpreter up and running. Now, I'm not really a fan of BASIC. I started out with microprocessors, so I was used to having the power and speed of using machine language on 8-bit microprocessors. So I found interpreted BASIC to be too slow and restrictive. But the worst was seeing teachers teaching kids how to write unstructured spaghetti BASIC code littered with go-to statements and totally unreadable.
Sounds Australian.
My initial high-level language of choice was eventually the wildly successful Borland Turbo Pascal compiler on the IBM PC. But as BASIC is the de facto standard amongst retro 8-bit computers, I thought it would be a fun exercise to see how quickly we can get BASIC up and running on our MECB 6809 system. From a quick Google search, I landed on Grant Searle's Minimal 6809 computer design, where he utilized the TRS80 Color Computer Extended BASIC as his choice of a good 6809 BASIC. Now, there were a couple of things I needed to take care of. Firstly, Grant's 6809 design is based on 32K of RAM, 16K of ROM space, and an MC68B50.
I won't play the whole thing. It's almost a quarter of an hour, but basically he's got a kind of a history of the whole project and where he got his inspiration from, and then kind of does some demos of it running. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, it's actually a pretty interesting article. And like I said, a lot of detail in here. And I don't know if anybody would be willing to build one of these, try it out. I'll be kind of interested to see it. You can see some screenshots here of obviously it's running not well with the VDG in it, so it's running an 80 column screen, but he did get it up and running. So he's got basically Microsoft Extended BASIC running on his little project here. Next up, Mr. Dave, who of course is working on a sprite library for the CoCo 3 graphics, and now he's working on some optimizations for BASIC itself to do faster presets, etc. He's also got a memory fill command kind of thing where you can tell it to fill in a byte or a 16-bit word pattern between two memory locations, optimized for speed, obviously. He just released this morning, actually. I won't play anything with sound because it's got music in the background. I'm not sure if it's copyrighted or not, so let's skip ahead here. But basically, he's replacing some commands here with some new ones in the BASIC interpreter. There he is doing the manual poke of 4,096 memory locations using a 4-next loop in BASIC, which is very, very slow. And there's a speed comparison, slow poke versus this new fast thing, which is basically another command FSP, which I can't remember what that stands for, fast single poke or something like that. But basically, it's his new keyword that he added to BASIC. And it does it so fast the timer doesn't even register 60th of a second. So compared to 1447 for doing a 4-next loop with real numbers. This is the kind of stuff that you see in BASIC 9, not to this extent, obviously, but since BASIC 9 has native integer and byte, and you can do integer loops, it's also much, much faster, as we have demonstrated on the show a couple of years ago. He's also been adding some extra features, as they call it feature creep. We can also skip bytes. You can tell it, put a certain value every second byte or every third byte or something like that. So you can draw like vertical stripe lines in a fast routine on a screen, for example, or if you want to pre-initialize a string or something like that with mixed up stuff. And then he has ranges that you can do for filling in memory, and with 8 or 16-bit values, so that you can do fancier textures, etc. if you're doing, say, a graphic screen. So anyway, this is still very much a work in progress. You just want to show some of the progress. He's also doing stuff like taking out some of the error checking in BASIC because it does a lot of checking to make sure like you're in the right P mode, or you have parentheses around your set and pset commands, which technically you don't really need, but with his version you don't need them at all, and then it saves having to interpret the parentheses as part of this stream, doing points, reading the color of a point on the screen, etc. So he's still working on it, but he's got some pretty decent speed increases using some of these commands now. Now, because he's taking out a lot of the checks that normally are done for ranges and stuff that are allowable for routine, you can technically get this to totally screw your computer up. I mean, if you do a fast memory poking thing and you accidentally write over top of, say, the gimme vector page or the IO addresses or your own program, you can definitely screw things up. So as he mentioned when I talked to him a bit about it on private chat earlier, this is meant to be done once you've got your code basically up and running and working and debugged, and then you start adding this stuff in, which is going to take all the checks and balances out and just let it rip. So I suggested that maybe he make one that does the same syntax but leaves the checks and balances and make a separate version that you can use for debugging and while crashing a machine every time. And then have the other one for the actual runtime library that would have these checks and balances removed, because you've already debugged them, you've already made sure they're not going to screw anything up. Hopefully we'll have Mr. Dave on once he gets this whole sprite project and this part of the project as well kind of done, to do some like live demos and show side-by-side comparisons of what the speed's like. And then we have a couple Dragon ones. So Richard Harding posted his interview with Brian Moore. Brian Moore was the second managing director and the final managing director for Dragon Data. And he's got a complete interview here, how he got hired by Dragon Data, when things went really south near the end, because he was kind of brought in late. How the shutdown of Dragon happened, and some other questions that Richard Adams. Pretty good little history of basically the second half of Dragon Data's life and some of the stuff they were hitting up against at the time. So a very good interview. I'm not going to go read through it all here. He's got some pictures from Dragon User Magazine. Actually has Brian actually on the cover. And from some of the articles, there he is today with an actual Dragon Repro board. A replica of the beta board in this case. So this was the unreleased, one of the unreleased Dragons, like one of the ones with a ton of extra stuff on it. So that's pretty cool that you actually got to see that again, because they're actually trying to recreate that machine now. And then my final one, Julian Brown, of course, is doing kind of like Pedro did with the CoCo 3 we were showing earlier with Brian Wiesler, doing the Repro board, but now going past the original specs and adding new stuff onto it. So he's got his revision 3, and he's been kind of getting parts in. He's got his third revision of the board itself. This is where he starts adding in a bunch of extra features like 256K RAM. And he didn't have any ROM or RAM in this one, so he just fired it up, but it actually seems to be generating video. It's dumping out basically through the VDG what it can get, because there's no RAM. It's just all @ signs. But basically, it seems to be working. So progress is continuing. We'll keep everybody posted on how that project is going and see what all he adds onto it, because there's a ton of stuff on there. And that's the end of the news for this week. So that means, Mark B, you have to wake up now.
Yeah. All right. Get up, gotta stretch.
I didn't hear snoring yet, so I wasn't sure if you were awake or not. So
yeah, my microphone was off, so
yep, I had to mute. Well, that was a good show. Still under 4 hours.
Yeah, I think having CoCo Tech where we can move some of these technical topics onto their own 2-hour shows, I think will help shorten the shows a bit. Though I did notice our viewership went down because the show shortened. I've never figured that out, but that seems to be the trend.
I don't know. Looks like we've had 38 today.
Yeah. Well, usually after a week, we're getting between 250 to 300 on average, except when they're short, then they get 230. So I don't understand.
People like their long naps. You take away their long naps, they get upset.
Yeah, or they have long commutes maybe during the week and they listen to it all then. I'm not sure how that works.
They're falling asleep halfway through, so they have to watch it again to see the part that they...
Oh, that could be. I never thought of that. That's very possible.
Hey, why don't you just pause for an hour or so and then come back and do the end of the show? Maybe that'll help. And then people will wake up.
Yeah, we'll see if anybody even notices we pause for an hour.
We can always do a short, relatively short, 2-hour stream.
And we're in trouble with Jim Rye, I should mention, because in the chat here, he says less than 4 hours, I want my money back.
All right, double refund. There you go.
I think
twice
that's a
your money
by
back.
Zero Air.
What was that, Marco?
Oh, I just said that, we can always, do our 2-hour show, Coco Tech, 2.5, and then pad it another hour or two, just, so that, so it's the right length.
We can play one of Ron's Apollo launch videos.
Yeah, filler.
Yeah, it's got hours of that stuff.
It's all public domain.
shuttle.
Yeah, exactly, filler.
Yeah, space shuttle. I mean,
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, just to remind everybody, in the US here, daylight savings time drops back an hour. So those
As of
outside
tonight,
of that,
correct?
yeah, that's tonight. So,
And Canada.
So we can
So
so this to
even Tuesday's show, we got one coming up Tuesday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, even Tuesday
And
show, if we had one.
it'll be 1 hour back from where it normally would be.
If you
Those
don't
are-
observe daylight savings at the same time.
Yeah, every other time zone except our little 4 here. So, yes, I do wish they would get rid of it.
Right. It's now 4. Next week it will be 3. In my
So it's
time.
whatever benefit they thought it might have had, it certainly is obsolete by now. So
next week it
Obsolete
will
but
actually be
retained.
noon, and I'll be an hour early. Is that?
So tomorrow morning I go around the house and try to figure out how to change the clocks.
Ask your computer. The computer will have the right time, and you can change all the
Upgrade to
clocks
better
fit.
clocks.
Yeah, like
These
Wayne
are all
Campbell in the
wrong.
chat saying, I'm fortunate. Every clock in my house will automatically change except for the microwave oven. So he's prepared.
Yeah, and all my clocks are wrong. They're going to change at the wrong time, and then they're going to change back again a week later or whatever because they changed the date when everything changed.
All my clocks are just blinking 12.
Yeah, my. Oh,
Well,
there you
even
go.
those are right twice a day.
All right.
There's Ken, mastered a 40-year-old computer, but doesn't know how to set his clock.
Okay.
The CoCo didn't have a real-time clock. It was never
Exactly.
still
That's
used
why I
color.
went for the
Yes, it did.
CoCo.
I had several.
It was too confusing, those ones that had the time on them.
Print timer. That's all we got.
Well,
So this
all right.
week we have Coco Tech on Tuesday. We have Game On Challenge on Thursday and another episode of this show, the CoCo Nation, on Saturday. So it's a full CoCo week.
It will be what? Saturday,
Crikey.
2:00 Eastern Standard Time.
Crikey.
Which means I got to remember to change the little clock in the corner up here.
Yeah. And Mark, just a quick reminder, what is the CoCo Tech episode this Tuesday?
Oh, Paul Fiscarelli's CoCo Sprite compiler with Paul Thayer and whoever else I can drag up. So I know
it's the Pauls.
It's the Pauls, yes. And I know that Ron Delvaux is a big fan, so he'll probably be on too to cheer him on and maybe offer some suggestions.
Yeah.
No, you don't know? Okay.
What time's the show start? 8.
Let's see. It'll be 9 p.m. your time. Sorry, wrong. It'll be 6 p.m. your time.
Oh, okay.
See how confusing that is, folks? Would you guys convince your governments to just get rid of this daylight saving crap?
So what time is that? It's 8:00 Eastern Standard Time.
8 o'clock Eastern Standard, and that's UTC -4. Or -5, sorry.
4,
That's fine.
5, 6.
You know what? Just tune in. Just tune in every couple hours and see if we're on. That's when it's on.
Yeah. Folks, the easiest way to do it is go to the YouTube channel or the Twitch channel, subscribe, and you'll get it. You can actually tell it to notify you when anytime we go live, and you'll actually get an email telling you the show is starting. So just do it that way.
Except
Ring that notification bell.
It doesn't work for Facebook because we were not there today.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out what happened there. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
As Mark said, he had it all checked there. It was supposed to. It just didn't.
Is that because
And we have our Canadian content.
Yeah, we should be fine. Okay, 60's asking, are your opening credits going to be correct again? I'm not sure what he's referring to there.
I'll have to look at it. There must, I mean, it does say the time, and it must have the wrong. It must only be standard time on it.
Is it because the Radio Shack guys have the wrong shirts on?
No, there's the little thing like
Just blink 12 on the opening credits.
broken all this time.
It has.
Oh, let's fix
Yeah,
it.
I just say 2 o'clock Eastern and be done with it, and then whatever time it is that time, it's
yeah.
time.
Yeah, you just misunderstood me. That's all.
Yeah. It's time when it's time. Just check back and ring that notification bell.
I don't know. Maybe we ought to change it to "Please stand by. We'll start eventually."
You can always catch it on the replay.
You could do it with relative time. You could say starting in an hour or
Right.
half an hour,
Starts
whatever.
Top of the hour. Yeah.
Today.
All right.
It's 21 minutes past the hour.
Let's go ahead and
Unless
run
you're
the
one of those
outro.
half-an-hour time zones, then it's not.
Oh yeah. Forgot those.
Sometime today.
This concludes another episode of the CoCo Nation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things the CoCo Nation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. The CoCo Nation Show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCo Nation theme song, copyright 2022, D. Bruce Moore. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCo Nation is over. Join us on the CoCo Discord server.
CoCo forever.
That's part of your virus protection, isn't it?
Why does anyone have
we're
any
back.
folder that's not a spam folder?
It's
Push
because
the
you
button,
got
Frank.
there's a zip attachment and it picks
Oh
up
yeah.
that.
You're supposed to change that extension to not a zip, and then
Yeah,
there won't be any problem
obviously.
with it.
I changed mine to all PIZ.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do that too.
Mine came normal.
I've never
Yeah,
had a
it
problem
depends.
because anyone sees the word "not a zip," they know it's a zip file, except for
Yeah.
Windows, which
Mine
doesn't
just
get
said
it at
not
all.
Canadian content.
Oh, you couldn't have it.
Blocked by Facebook.
Virus here. All right. Let's see. I guess we need to pull the plug on this thing. So
Please.
Yep.
till next
Oh,
week.
this thing's still
Save
on?
us all.
We'll be
See
on
you
a
all
sub-
next week. See you on Tuesday for CoCo Tech.
Bye.
See you on Thursday for the Game On Channel. See you next Saturday for the next episode of this show.
Channel.
which will
And
start at the
sorry.
same time.